Staff and the public are attending remotely via Zoom as well as on site. All participants joining by phone should mute their phones when not speaking to avoid background noise. When speaking, please speak directly into a microphone to ensure everyone listening is able to hear your comments and to ensure a clear record is made. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time you speak so that the public is observing knows who is speaking. This is critical given the number of remote participants and is current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General. The public is allowed to participate by Zoom or submit comments by email prior to the meeting, and those comments will be included in the record of this meeting. The public may also indicate their intent to provide remote public comment by contacting the clerk's office by noon on the day of the meeting. The public also will have an opportunity to provide brief comments either by telephone or via Zoom from the fifth floor conference room of the municipal office building. If public comments are allowed on an agenda item, comments should be limited to the topic of that item. Disruptive comments and behavior are not permitted and may result in removal from the meeting. I will now call the meeting of the Economic Development Standing Finance Committee for September 29th, 2025 to order, and I'll ask the clerk to please call roll.
Roll call. Wakes.
Present.
Lopez. We have an absence memo. Burns.
Here.
Stites. Townsend. We have an absence memo. Earls.
Here. Madam Clerk, I'll ask if there's any revisions to tonight's agenda.
There are no revisions tonight.
Thank you. Committee, that takes us right to the approval of minutes, which we do not have any for this month, and that'll take us right on into our agenda items. Item 4.1 is an update on the NRA, Neighborhood Revitalization Act, and I believe that we have a 5-year update of that planned by Judd Knapp this evening. Judd, please, committee's all yours.
Thank you, Commissioner. So why am I here? To talk about the Neighborhood Revitalization Act, or we call it the NRA. It's a 5-year plan, and this plan expires at the end of the year. So staff has gone through and made recommendations to changes to the program. I'm going to present those to you tonight. And then the next steps for this is an information-only item, is that we take it to every other taxing jurisdiction, and we get approval from them, like Bonner, Edwardsville, and school districts. And then we come back to this meeting, present the changes again, and then we go to full commission to have a public hearing. So that's kind of what we're doing here tonight. I'm just giving you an overview of the changes. All right, first is, what is the NRA rebate program? It is a property tax rebate incentive. It encourages rehab and new construction. It rebates the increase in value due to the improvements. Here is a list of the cities and counties in Kansas that have an NRA program. You see these cities are big and small, but they all have the same structure behind the NRA program. The only thing that varies is the rate and the years that rebate runs for. Wyandotte County's population, you see in 2010, we have an increase in population. This increase in population also equals an increase in demand for housing. And we have 12,000 vacant lots in KCK. So this is a great opportunity to use this program to help incentivize building new homes. So this is how the NRA program is structured. I'm going to start at the bottom with the base value. This is the value before any improvements. So what taxes they are paying before they start construction is the base value. This base value is not rebated during the entire rebate period. So the taxes they pay today will be the taxes they pay next year. The increment is the increase in value due to their improvements. If a person would rehab their home, that increase in value is what the rebate is for. So we're basically rewarding people for investing in their homes. Future appreciation is the top one. If the property increases in value after year one, after the improvements are completed, this amount is not rebated and they pay taxes on this increase. Here's a map of the NRA applications we received from 2021 to 2024. We see that Area 1 has 35 and Area 2 has 101. A policy change that we had because of this map is that Area 2 might not need that 95% rebate anymore. So the policy change that we're proposing is to reduce that to 50%. And I have some numbers later that dive into that and explain that a little bit better. First, we're going to do some boundary changes. Area 1 is highlighted there. The existing boundary goes all the way to KU Med. It was felt that this was not a zone for the not 95% rebate. And it's basically Armstrong Avenue North is the boundary line for the 95% rebate. This area also probably needs the most housing and also has the most vacant lots. Boundary changes for Area 2 is Minnesota Avenue South, so it just took over all that area from that Area 1 just released, and we removed State Avenue to 94th Street. We kind of cut that one out at the very edge there. We're proposing a 50% rebate for new construction and a 5-year timeline for that. This is a chart of the new NRA applications that we received and the rebate amounts that we received each year. This is the eligibility requirements and fees. These really stayed the same. They've been the same rules for years. The only changes that we're making here is new construction, the 95% rebate. We propose the change to 50%. The first example that I'm going to provide to you is the residential rehab. Currently, it's a 95% tax rebate. The proposed change is no change because this is a rehab. So I'm going to walk you through that slide that goes through base value and increment with some real numbers here. Before the rehab, the house was valued at $90,000. That's your base. And then after the property was rehabbed, it was worth $169,000. So you minus that property value minus the base gives you the increment amount of $80,000. And this is the amount, that $80,000 is what that 95% rebate goes for. So to give you some numbers about this, 95% of the taxes paid on $80,000 is $1,500. So in 2022, the rebate amount was $1,500 to them, and the owner paid $1,600 in taxes. So it's an even split, kind of pretty close. So this is the example for new construction. You're going from a vacant lot that has the base value of $10,000. A home is built. Now the property is worth $242,000. So the increment value, the value of the improvement is $232,000. 95% of $232 is rebated to the owner each year. 2023 rebate was $4,200. And the property tax bill for that property owner was $290. And I do have to say the property owner has to pay their taxes in full, and then they get rebated a check back. So now this slide kind of helps us with the next couple. It's estimating the tax revenue from each, how much taxes we receive from a new home. We start with the vacant lot. It's a land bank lot, so it was zero sales tax because there's 0 people living there. At 95%, the property tax from the previous slide was $290, $366 in sales tax. So that's $656. At the 75% rebate range, it's $1,500, and then at 50%, it's $2,600. So this slide basically says the same information, but the bottom bolded part really shows you the difference between the different tax rebates. At 95%, they pay $4,200. No, they get $4,200 back in a rebate, and $290 they pay. At 75%, it's $3,200, and they pay $1,200. At the 50% tax rebate, this is the proposed change that we're looking at, is the 50% rebate gives them $2,100 back, and they pay $2,300. So let's expand this tax revenue out for several years, like 10 years. Like, what does this look like for us? I'm going to give you two scenarios here. The first one is without the NRA. It was a land bank lot, so we get 0 tax revenue from it. There's no construction, no investment, no increase in value, no population growth. We get nothing. But with the NRA program at 50%, we get $35,000 in revenue over that 10-year period. Here's the same information. It's a little different way of looking at it. Without the NRA, it's a vacant lot. With the NRA, there's a home built on it. All right, so now we're going to roll into the commercial ones. The commercial NRA applications, we had 30 of them over that 2021, 2024 period. Here are the eligibility requirements and fees kind of stay the same as the rules as they always have. So the changes to the commercial part, the current rule is projects under $3 million. But the projects over $3 million that come to us, we have to offer other incentives like IRBs, TIFs, CIDs, and special NRAs. The proposed change would be to increase that investment amount to 10 million. This change would allow bigger projects to access the NRA benefits, and this also aligns with the increased cost in construction. Also, the current rebate for zones 1 and 2 is 95%. The proposed change would be to reduce that to 50%. Then we have special projects. We have different areas. We have Area 1. We have the special State Avenue East, West Corridor, and Leavenworth Road Corridor. They must meet one of the following. They have to be retail in nature, environmentally contaminated area, or historic designation of state or federal. The rebate is 75%, and the number of years is 20 for this, and it has to be approved by commission. There's a picture of Sour Castle. It was the most recent special projects that we had. So that pretty much sums up my presentation, Commissioner.
Thank you, Jed. I appreciate the slides.
Stites District 7. So on land bank properties where the base is 0, who establishes, because in your example, you showed that a lot was worth, the value was 10,300 and something or other. But if the 0, if you're paying the difference of 0, is that accurate? Or is there an evaluation that sets what the value is of that piece of property before a new home is built?
The appraiser sets the value of the property. The land bank is tax exempt, so we pay 0 taxes. So I was just going off tax revenue on that. That lot still has a value that the appraiser gives.
Okay.
But the 0 meant 0 tax revenue.
Okay. And then maybe I missed it, but for how long? What's the period of time?
Zone 1 would be 10 years. And area 2 would be 5 years.
And if you don't mind, what's the thought process behind 1 and 2 being separate? Is that the demand for in zone 1 is higher? And that's where we have more land bank properties?
An incentive is trying to encourage people to build in places that they're not really building today. So this incentive is to get people to build. And the higher incentive in area 1 would encourage people to build there.
And that's where the area that we have the most land bank properties.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Jed? I have a question. I'm trying to, you said zone 1 is stretched down all the way to county line to the south?
So this is zone 1's like old boundaries. You see like that blue line boundary there?
Yes.
Is the old boundary, and we reduced it to Armstrong Avenue North.
Okay, thank you. It's a reduction, not a, got it.
And we added that to area 2.
So the new zone 2 is the southern part.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. So you're wanting a decision from us to approve either zone 1 recommendations and zone 2 recommendations and the commercial aspect, or you want an input from us on eligibility and the percentages over the years? Because I see 2 proposals before us.
So this is Chelsea Chisholm, Economic Development Director. At this point, we would welcome any additional feedback. I know that we've rolled through a lot of on-3 meetings with commissioners to try and this presentation incorporates a lot of that feedback we had during those discussions. If there's any additional guidance that this committee would like to offer prior to us initiating or starting all those meetings with the other taxing jurisdictions, we'd be happy to incorporate that guidance before initiating those conversations.
So with that comment, if we were to go the first 5 years at 75% and the second 5 years on the 10 years being 50%, we would slowly but gradually bring the taxpayer up to the full cost of the property tax in year 11. If
Yeah.
we went 75 for 5, 50 for the 5 through 10 or 6 through 10, however you all would want to do it. Are you looking for recommendations like that, or you want us to just approve what's presented before us?
Well, so on the initial piece of reduced incentive over the period of whether it's 5 or 10 years or for a special project, the 20 years, we've had talks internally. Unfortunately, our current system that captures all of this data would have to be manually updated every year for over 400 parcels to adjust that incentive amount, which opens up the potential for mistakes. And so we had some concerns that it will take a significant amount of staff time and opens up the opportunity for inaccuracies in the process. But if that's the committee's direction, we will do our best to implement that.
So to cut down to limit the amount of mistakes from input of the information, it would be best to go with 1 percentage throughout the life of the NRA.
Correct.
Committee, any other comments or questions? Okay. I'll ask the clerk if there are any hands raised by the public online who wish to speak.
There are no hands raised online.
Is there any written comments that were received from the public?
No comments were received.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience this evening who wishes to speak to this item? Please, you will be given up to 3 minutes to make your comments. Please come to the podium, state your name and city residence for the record.
Greg Kendall, Wyandotte Economic Development Council, and a resident of KCK. Mainly, you all have heard me say before that the NRA program is probably one of the best incentives that you all offer, particularly when it comes to residential, but also for small businesses. So there's always a lot of talk about how do we support small business, but there are really very few incentives, in fact, that support that. We appreciate the fact that the team at the UG is acknowledging that ever since this program was started, it's been capped at 3 million. And those projects are now far and few between, particularly in the commercial side of it. So raising that cap is fantastic. The only concern I have on what's being proposed is that particularly 66105, which is Armourdale, is your poorest zip code in the county. It is not keeping up with cost of inflation in terms of household income. And when you look at where the distressed census tracts are in the county, we certainly would like to see more investment in those areas, right? We're seeing good progress, but this is really one of the few incentives you're going to be able to give to a small business. And so I don't know that we 100% agree that you go from 95% east of 635 from north to south, go from 95% for 10 years down to 50% for 5 years. That seems like a pretty severe change and not as supportive of small business as we would like to be. We would probably encourage there to be some sort of step down. Maybe it's 75% for 10 years in those southern locations, or have all of East 635 be 75%. We still believe that there's an awful lot of distressed census tracts. That's really where you have a lot of small business growth. And you have to be able to market as well. So while I would love to say, let's do 66105 as one group and this group do another, you have to be able to market it as well. And those lines are not really clean. So it'd be easier to leave it with the 635. But I just want to point that one part out. I'm good with the west of 635 as proposed.
Minute remaining.
Would just like for there to be some more contemplation about the remainder of East 635. I get that Rosedale is in a pretty good spot. So, but you get really basically to I-35 and north, there is still a lot of areas that need to be redeveloped. So those would be my comments. Thank you to the team. You've done a great job. Thanks.
Mr. Kendall, please stay there. You brought up a fine point in reference to the division of the community in reference to business, small business, and I know we're challenged in some areas more than others. So if I want to make sure I heard you correctly before I go asking for recommendations from the committee. East of 635, the 75% for residents and commercial?
I don't work as much on the residential side, so I'm going to leave that to the team to make that recommendation. I'm primarily working on the commercial industrial side, and so you do have a lot of smaller buildings east of 635, particularly in the Armadale area, that are not big enough for those big projects, but it's going to be where your smaller businesses come through. The heavy focus on the Latino population as well. We just want to make sure that we don't leave that behind because this really is the primary small business incentive that we can offer.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Judd, you guys have proposed, or staff has proposed a 95% rebate for 10 years?
Yes, Commissioner.
Committee, any questions? Mr. Wakes?
It does not. It's okay.
And so would it be difficult to change the area, its own one, to include the Armadale area?
No, it would not. We could do north of the river from Armstrong. Like it's Armstrong now. We could change it to north of the river. Kansas River, that means.
Commissioner Stites?
Stites District 7. So the proposal is to reduce it down to 50%, not 95. Correct?
50.
On one,
So rehab stay at 95%. And then new construction is the one, new construction in area 2 is the one that would reduce to 50%.
residential and commercial.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Chairman.
So another question I have, is there a minimum investment?
Yes, it says
So they-
15%.
It's 50.
Their value has to increase by 15% of their appraised value.
What if the lot was $10,000?
And they built a new house on it,
Huh.
it would definitely increase by 15%. Your appraised value would increase by 15% due to the improvements that you made.
So if you made, is there a minimum though?
Yes, 15% of your appraised value.
So I could go build a 15% of 10,000, you can do the math. So I can go build a $50,000 house on it? Is that correct?
Yeah,
Really? I don't think that's what we're targeting, are we?
but they would have to get a building permit for a $50,000 house.
You can build 50,000.
Like, I think our minimum square foot is what, 764
Okay.
square feet, so I don't think it's possible to be.
What square foot cost today for new construction?
Oh, isn't it like 150 in that general area?
150.
I'm not the expert on this. I'm just
trying to figure out what we're trying to, if somebody was to come in and build a very, very small, tiny home, does that fit? Or are we looking for a minimal investment on one of these lots that they get for free at a land bank?
Well, I think the example is if you have a house and you put new windows in it and your house increases by 5%, it's not really worth it to have a rebate check sent to you for what, $10, $15? So I think that 15% is there to make sure that to make sure it's worth like staff time to do it. Is that,
I get it with a rehab, but I'm talking
Yeah.
about new construction.
yeah. Well,
So Commissioner Stites, if I understand, you're asking if there's a limit before they can draw the NRA, they need a minimum investment on a lot. So would that be set at 100,000 before you could qualify for the NRA? Or is that what you're asking?
That's correct, because, so what I did was, you said 150 and 750 is the minimum? Is that code, 750?
It's like 760 something. Yeah, it's close enough.
Okay,
Oh,
well, 750 at $150 a square foot for new construction is 112.5. So that'd be the smallest, like what you were saying. I mean, if that is in fact the smallest.
So let me see if I can cloud this water up a little more. If you are given a lot, piece of unimproved ground, and you were to bring a manufactured home in, can you qualify for an NRA?
yes.
So it sounds like then probably in that $120,000 range, if it's, depends if 750, 760, but it's probably $115,000 minimal investment to be eligible for the NRA program. Is that correct?
You say that again.
Based on construction costs and the minimum square footage, yes.
Thank you.
We want to establish a minimum threshold in the policy, we can do that.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, we're targeting the areas where we need these houses and we want people to be in. I just wanted to know what the number was. I didn't want somebody to be able to come in there and build a 10 by 20 shed and call it a house or small living quarters or whatever you might want. And then they're eligible for 95% tax abatement for 10 years. And they have a very small investment. Just want to make sure it's the right thing that we're after. Thanks.
Well, committee, I know this is for information only. I guess my next question would be, do you plan on presenting this to the full commission for approval? Because I think there's some concerns here and some questions that may need to be answered prior to advancement. That's what I want to kind of know.
So from the timeline that when they did this 5 years ago, they came here and presented EED&F the changes, and then they went out to all the taxing jurisdictions and got approval from them. And then I would come back and present to ED&F again. And then if approved, it goes to full commission for a public hearing, and I would probably present it again.
Could be suggestions from other taxing entities and not just the commission.
I believe,
Commission's word, what you're going to take to the taxing entities.
Direction that we get from the committee and the prior feedback we've got from commissioners in the on-3 meetings is what we would bring forward to the other taxing jurisdiction.
Commissioner Stites?
Sorry, I should have asked this a minute ago. Don't want to take up a whole lot more time. And then also Commissioner Hill's got her hand raised. At the 95%, and like Mr. Kendall was talking about, how many people in the last 5 years took advantage of the 95%? On the commercial side? That seemed to be,
30. 30.
30 took advantage of it at 95%. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Hill? Commissioner Hill?
Hello? Can you
There
hear
go.
me?
Yes, now we can. Commissioner Hill, go ahead, please.
Okay, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Chair for allowing me to speak and thank you, Mr. Stites, Commissioner Stites, for seeing my hand. I just wanted to go back. I didn't quite hear Reverend Wake's question, which is kind of where I think my question is, why did the committee stop at Armstrong? Why not go down to Quindaro or to Parallel? So that was my question, and you may have answered it with Reverend Wakes, but I just couldn't hear. Thank you so much.
Yes, Area 1 used to go all the way to KU Medical Center. And we didn't feel like that area needed that 10-year, 95% in NRA rebate. When we were on 3 meetings, we were talking about what percentage they wanted us to go to. And then some commissioners made it a point that they still might need the 95% in the Northeast. So that's when we made Area 1 smaller and made Area 1 smaller and made it 95% instead of a 50 or 75% rebate. And then Area 2 went to the 50% rebate for.
Commissioner Hill, did that answer your question?
I thank you for that explanation, but uh, are you saying, Mr. Knapp, that the committee, I understand the 95%, I understand that, and I understand it went all the way to KU, but you said north, it stopped at Armstrong. So I'm still just trying to understand, did you come to that, what was the evaluative process? You mentioned you met with the 3-on-3s. I, I I guess the answer, Mr. Chair's question, no, I still don't understand why we didn't go beyond Armstrong North.
Commissioner, it's Armstrong North to the river, to 635. So yes, Quindero's still in Area 1 at the 95% rebate. It's south of Armstrong that got moved to Area 2 with the reduced rebate amount.
Okay, thank you. I think I just totally misunderstood. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Commissioner Hill, thank you for that, because that's the confusion I had when they showed the map, the lines that were drawn. I thought the blue district was a new added piece, Zone 1, but we did get that clarification. So I believe you got your answer to your question in reference to the boundaries going all the way to the river to the north, and Armstrong is a cutoff at the south?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, committee, any other questions or comments?
What action? I'm sorry.
Commissioner Stites?
Last question, I promise. Does this apply to a developer?
This incentive is not for the developer because they build the property and then they sell it. The incentive would be for the property owner.
So I guess I'm reading between the lines. Is that a no?
It's a no, but they could use it as a sales tactic to sell their house. There's a subdivision at like 92nd in Parallel that has a sign out front that advertises for the NRA rehab program. So it's not for the developer, it's for the person that lives there.
Developer take advantage of this program?
Yes,
That's what,
definitely, yes. They could get it and build it and sell it,
got
and
it.
it transfers to the new owner.
Multiple homes if they wanted.
Yes,
Got it. Thank you.
sorry.
Mr. Wakes, did you have a question?
Yes. What action is necessary to extend the area south to the Armadale area?
We can do that. I mean, if that's the guidance that we get, I will draw a new map and extend it to the Kansas River.
Mr. Wakes, you say take that all the way to the river? What part do you have a landmark or a roadway in which to cut it off? I know Mr. Kendall's the one that spoke to it. Mr. Kendall, do you have an area that you would like to see on the south side be the limit for Zone 1?
I think the river is appropriate. It's easy to
River.
market and I think accomplishes what the team was looking for, which was to really focus the incentive on where we want investment, right? That's what we're really after, is the best return on the investment overall.
And just for clarification, that's all the way that's east of 635
Yes,
to the river.
yes.
Okay. Committee, any other questions or comments? Staff, how do you feel about that recommendation of the 50%?
This is the current map of Project Area 1. So we would revert back to what the current program,
So there would be no change.
correct?
in the area. Okay,
This gets reviewed again in 5 years, right? Brought back to,
Yes, it does. The plan expires in 2030. So we'll have to do this again.
okay, just for clarification, we're going to take District 1 back down to the river, which is the current position now. And that includes commercial for 20 years.
That's correct, for a special NRA project.
Okay, this, again, committee, if there's any other changes, this would be the time to pose them. We're not taking any action. It's for information only, kind of fill us in as to where we are. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Committee, the next point of action is our home field project, Star Bonds. It will provide an overview of the remaining Star Bonds to be issued for the Village East home field, authorizing a development agreement approved in 2021. The ordinance authorizing the sale of the bonds will be on October 2nd, 2025, full commission agenda. I'll recognize Shelley Knieven, our financial officer, for presentation and remarks.
Shelley Knieven, Chief Financial Officer. So why we wanted to take a quick minute to do an overview is because you have the development agreement on the agenda next. And because both things are related to home field, we thought to avoid confusion, we wanted to talk about the original agreement, development agreement, which authorized us to issue Star Bonds. And that was back in May of 21. And it was a rework of the old Schlitter bond project. So a portion of those bonds went to this project. A portion of those bonds went to refund or refinance the Schlitter bond funds. So in April of 22, we had an ordinance that went through committee and authorized up to 160 million. Of that, a maximum of 130 million was for home field specifically. We only issued 116, and the way that bonds get sized is we have an independent study done by a consultant that does a revenue projection based on development, and they look at what has actually happened out there. They do projections. It is completely independent. Then the underwriters review that, and they size the bond as well as other kind of bond restrictions or covenants that are required. And so in that case, 116 million were authorized. It wasn't the full amount. So we're ready to come through with this next phase of bonds. The ordinance, because it went through the committee before to authorize the full amount, it didn't need to come back to committee again per the law department and our legal counsel. So we did think it was important that we shared though information because you have other action items tonight that relate to the same project. So it gets a bit confusing. So we're having an ordinance that's on the agenda for Thursday. It's for up to 30 million. However, I do want to note that based on the revenues as well as the underwriters, we believe that that will not be the issuance amount. It'll be less than that. And I share that with you because we will then come back to you at a future date after a few more developments are open and up and running, and we see the actual revenues from those as opposed to projections, then we'll be able to finish this out. So Homefield has an allotment, if you will, of 30 million. We'll be able to do a little more than half of that this time, and then we'll come back again within a year or two to do the final. The developer has been involved in this process throughout the whole process. Their legal counsel, the underwriters, the revenue study people, our legal counsel. So it's been a collaborative process. It's not done in a vacuum. and everybody is able to ask questions, provide points of clarification and so forth. So I just wanted to, before you get into the development agreement, which is a true action item, share a little bit about why that's on Thursday night's agenda and why it wasn't an action item for committee. But I felt like it was important enough that you see or understand the connection of those items. After you have your discussions about the development agreement, depending on how those discussions go, in full transparency, I do want to note that if there's reasons why that doesn't move forward to the second, then we'll probably pull that agenda item, the ordinance for bonds, and bring it forward on October 30th. Our goal, out of respect for the developer, because they have advanced all of this money, this is just reimbursement of money they've already spent, would be to try and issue these bonds in '25. So as long as we are able to get action by October 30th, so we do have a little bit of time if the committee and full commission decide that they need it, there's a little bit of time where we still can get the bonds done in '25. So just sharing that. But that's the information about the bond issue. If you have questions about the bond issue, I'm glad to answer them now or later, and then we'll get into more of the substance of tonight, which is the development agreement amendments. And I think the developer may have a presentation to share with you. Huh? For the next item. So do you have any questions right now about the bonds? Okay, if you do later, I'll still be here if you then have questions.
But we're only talking 30 million.
30 million is the final allotment. There's no more above that. And we believe that we'll be able to issue between 16 and 20 million. So we'll have to come back again in a couple of years, once a few more developments like another hotel, a restaurant, once those get up and going and we have real revenue projections. Right now it's just projections, but we'll have revenue streams. And we're hopeful that that will be able to warrant us bringing back the rest of the bonds. So just, you'll see it again is why I'm telling you that.
So this information is contingent on the next two items.
I believe there's some things that are related and they can certainly share with you how that might interplay. Okay.
All right, well, that committee, any questions in reference before we move on to the next two items that are related to this overview? I'll ask Madam Clerk, was there anybody any comments from the public?
No comments were received.
Is there any hands raised
There are no hands raised.
online? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this item prior to moving forward? Let the record show no one stepped forward. Okay, committee, I'll close the public hearing on that item. That was for information only. We're going to, I am assuming, the next item, which is an action item. It's a resolution. It's the Fifth Amendment to the Assignment Assumption and Second Amended Development Agreement for the Home Field Project. And part of this item was previously scheduled and heard before this committee earlier this month. So at this time, I'll recognize Chelsea Chisholm, our Economic Development Director, for presentation and remarks. Ms. Chisholm.
Thank you, Chairman Burrows, members of the committee, Chelsea Chisholm, Economic Development Director. So for tonight, we've got Richard Napper representing Homefield and his legal counsel, Mr. Peterson. They will tee up the initial portion of our presentation with their presentation they put together. And then we've got Todd LaSala here with Stinson on the UG's outside legal counsel to talk a little bit about the modifications contemplated under this Fifth Amendment.
My turn? Good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone here for the time this evening. If you recall, when we were here a few weeks ago, and I will be the first to admit, we were a little bit disorganized and there was a lack of communication on my team and how we then relayed communication to the UG team. And I do thank you for hearing me that evening. During that evening, that presentation, I did reference to you that there were several other items that we were really not prepared to discuss that evening. We'd be back in a few weeks. So here we are. We're back. Tonight, there are several development agreement cleanup items that we'd like your consideration with. that would then parlay us into partially finishing out the STAR bonds we were approved for back in 2022. Please understand that this is a project that could approach $1 billion in cost, that spans plus or minus 400 acres, and that as we progress through this project, things change and need to be updated. This is a massive project with a lot of moving pieces. What has not changed is Homefield's commitment to delivering a world-class project and its commitment to Wyandotte County in this public-private partnership. I am not aware of any other developer-led project that has invested the amount of money and produced the results that Homefield has in a relatively short amount of time. Through a period of historic inflation, volatility, and market turmoil, Homefield has persevered. We have not stopped construction. We've not shelved construction. We have not delayed construction. You are all aware how many times I have been in front of this committee over the past few years, as well as the Board of County Commissioners. And to me, that talks of progress. I'm in front of you, as well as the Board of County Commissioners, as we bring new projects forth into Wyandotte County, into the state of Kansas. Before I start the actual presentation on the development agreement amendment, I do want to address a comment question from last time I was here from Mr. Wakes. His question focused on Homefield's impact and involvement in the community. And as I said, did not have information several weeks ago to share or discuss, but I promised you when I came back again, I would bring that information to you. And that's really what the first part of my presentation is about. Honestly, this part will take me longer to talk about than the development agreement amendments. And so please bear with me. Before I do start the slideshow, one final comment. Please recall where this project sat pre-Homefield. This was a shuttered, failed water park where an unthinkable tragedy occurred. This project was blighted and impacting the area and was a giant black mark. There were no buyers for this vacant land. There were no interested parties. Even the group that purchased Schlitterbahn in Texas walked away from their option to buy this land. Enter the pandemic shortly thereafter. The potential sale of a failed asset where people congregated, swam, touched the same beach chairs, the same towels, the same slides, the same rafts, an outdoor water park in Kansas, an absolutely impossible situation. There was no lending going on. There was no deals transacting. People just wanted to feel safe. Yet, in the middle of the pandemic, Homefield emerged as the buyer. Homefield worked tirelessly to acquire this asset, and they continue to produce what is out there today. Homefield was truly the needle in the haystack buyer. Since Homefield acquired this asset, there's been over $430 million in development. And I've said this before, that is a staggering number. That is a number that would be big in real estate go markets like Phoenix, Dallas, Houston, Atlanta. $430 million. Homefield, by way of its partners, owners, and lenders, has invested over $187 million cash in the project. The total private investment from all sources is in excess of $305 million. The remnants of the water park are gone. A project where tragedy occurred is now home to the finest youth sports complex in the country and some of the most exciting attractions one can find within 500 miles. We also have a Margaritaville full-service resort, and for those of you that have had the chance to see the ribbon cutting and the Lieutenant Governor's kind remarks at the ribbon cutting of Atlas 9, we have a world-class immersive museum in Wyandotte County. Homefield has brought the money. We've brought the property tax, the sales tax, the employment, and the tourism. Homefield has done with this property what I think everyone wished would have happened back in 2006 and moving forward. Community impact. In the interest of time, I'm not going to read every line on here because I know you all have copies if you want them. But if you look at the month by month, year by year, what Homefield has done for the community. And again, it goes on month after month, year after year, Homefield's involvement with Wyandotte County. Property taxes. And again, Information we have pulled from Wyandotte County site as well as our own tax bills. And in some of these, we've made estimates because 2025 tax bills are not out and certainly 26 are not. In 2024, the Homefield Master Plan, Homefield Star Bond District paid $3.9 million in property taxes. In 2025, we estimate that number to be $4.9 million in property taxes. And in 2026, over $5 million in property taxes, all this from one project. Some of you might recall in 2015 when the Schluter Bond bonds issued, at literally the 11th hour, the UG came to Schluter Bond's financial partner, as well as Schluter Bond, and said they were going to impose on the bond offering a Series B issuance of $12,260,000. This had never been contemplated in the development agreement. It was not contemplated in our negotiations. It was at the 11th hour. We had no option but to say, okay, or things would not move forward. That $12,260,000 of Series B bonds was to the detriment of the development team and the A Series bonds. In 2022, when Homefield came forward with its star bond issuance, and again, I want to remind us, and I think Shelley hit on this earlier, we were approved in that issuance for 130 of the 150. From the time Homefield acquired this asset to the time the bonds were issued and construction started, interest rates more than doubled. Construction prices went through the roof. The underwriting we had at Homefield was out the window, out the door. We came up at that bond offering, and again, the development agreement and the budgets and everyone at this table knew that there was $130 million of bonds in sources along with private capital to round out the capital stack. That offering came up $8.6 million short. I'm sorry, let me back up. That offering came up $13 million short. We issued 116 and change of the 130 approved. What did not come up short was we were asked to pay off the UG's Series B star bonds of $8.6 million. Not a pro rata, because we did not realize our full amount due to market conditions outside of our control. We paid off the Series B bonds in their totality of $8.6 million, even though we came up 13.3 short, and Homefield funded that privately. Additionally, in the development agreement, Homefield has signed agreements with every school district in Wyandotte County for use of the Homefield sports facilities at no charge. That was a condition precedent to the 2022 bond offering, and we have all those agreements signed. Homefield has made monetary investments and improvements to Wyandotte County. We have been involved with the school districts. We've been involved with the overall community. We've also, the whole purpose of the Star Bond District is tourism. This is a list for the Homefield facilities. And again, in the interest of time, I will not read every line. I believe there are 84 events that go the entire year that I'll thumb through here. We have brought people into Wyandotte County to spend their money that otherwise would not be here. Again, the list going through, and more, and more, and more. Again, I believe it's 84 events. When there are not events at our Homefield facilities, our sports teams are practicing at those facilities Monday through Thursday. So again, on top of the tourism brought in to spend their money in Wyandotte County, we are bringing people into the state of Kansas and into Wyandotte County for our team practices from all around the Kansas City metropolitan area. Finally, in the development agreement, which will be a point we could discuss later, Homefield in the development agreement is obligated to make a $4.35 million private investment into a specified geographic area of Wyandotte County. And again, that's on top of everything else that I've just been through. Visitor stats, I want to hit this again because again, I walked through that exhaustive 84 event calendar with you. And again, in the interest of time, I'm not going to read every single page here, but these are some interesting stats. And I can't see that far, but I think I know these pretty well. The Home Field Showcase building has brought in about 380,000 people through its doors in the past 12 months. Thank you. Losing my eyesight.
I'm younger, 383,000.
383,000. What we know about those 383,000 people is we know their median income is 49% higher than the Kansas average. We know prior to attending this or coming to this facility, they've been at the Legends Outlet Mall, hotels, and convenience stores. We know when they've left this facility, they frequent the outlet mall, restaurants, and convenience stores. Home field baseball. 448,000 visitors in the past 12 months. What we know about these visitors is 34% higher income than the average Kansan. They go to the outlet mall, hotels, and convenience stores before and after they're at this facility. So when you look at the two numbers there, it's somewhere over 800,000 visits. Let's say it's between 800 and 900. When I was here 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did make a reference to those numbers, and my reference was, because again, you throw out a number and say 800,000 people come to these facilities. Okay, what does that mean? I mean, to me, it seems like a lot of people, but to put it in context, to put it in perspective, I noted 3 weeks ago that, to my knowledge, that would be more people than attend an NFL stadium in a year. And again, my math, 8 home games, 70,000 people, that's 560,000 people. We had over 800,000. So I made a reference for perspective 3 weeks ago on attendance. Whether that attendance of an NFL stadium is good, bad, or indifferent, over 800,000 people coming to these facilities that would not be coming but for Home Field's involvement in these facilities and involvement in the community. And we know they're spending money and they're spending time. So with regard to, again, our involvement in the community, that is, my comments on that. I hope I've addressed your question and what we're doing. And again, if I had more time, and I know you have a copy of this, I would love for you to read through all the detail in there. Any questions, my team that's here today, as well as our entire operations team for Home Field, and they're the ones that put all that in place, would be happy to discuss that with you, meet with you all on that. Or if there are other ideas, suggestions, we're all ears. So with that, the presentation, to answer your question, Mr. Wakes, I'm finished with that. I'm happy to roll into the development agreement. Asks, Todd, I don't know if that's something you want to do.
No, go ahead.
So I believe that is the end of that slideshow. So the development agreement, and I'm sure Todd and Kirk can dive into better detail than I can, but we really have 3 things that we're asking you to consider to amend, tweak in this development agreement. And those are critical because those tweaks have to match up to the bond marketing documents and the bond documents that we'd like to get out as soon as possible. And we had asked that these documents you fast track to Thursday. The sooner we're able to get in the market, the better. As every day goes by, I mean, we're in a very volatile market, and the closer we get to Thanksgiving, the more difficult it becomes. In fact, if we get too close to Thanksgiving, things will shut down until the end of January. So right now, with the cut that was made at the Federal Reserve, and with where the market is, the underwriter feels the sooner they can get into the market and print the offering documents, the better. They obviously cannot print those documents until the documents match the DA, hence tonight's meeting and hopefully Thursday's meeting. So item 1 is really about a site plan and about what's on a site plan. Again, this is a 400-acre-ish development, and when the DA was originally done, Home Field did not own property east of 94th Street. Subsequently, they did. And when we did the development agreement, we have maps and we have a narrative as to what goes where. And since we did not own certain parcels east of 94th. They were not in this narrative. And so right now at the former Frontier Steakhouse location on the northeast corner of 94th Avenue and State, we have under contract Casey's. Casey's is a $20.6 billion public company. You can call Casey's what you want. To me, they're the 5th largest seller of pizza in the country. They're a pizza store that happens to sell Diet Coke and gas pumps. They are the 5th largest, and yes, they deliver. So they are a restaurant inside a convenience store. Again, 5th largest seller of pizza in the country from the data we've been able to pull. Casey's sells 30 million pizzas a year and 63 million individual slices. The Casey's would be on the side of State Avenue that people would hit when leaving soccer, baseball, or home field on the way to the highway, which we think is the way most people traverse when they're coming to the project. We think it is a natural, not only for the surrounding community, but for the athletic fields and all the tourism in the area, especially with all of the families and kids. We feel it's a natural for that area. What else is interesting about the Casey's and the timing of that? We've been working with them for probably 8 to 9 months. And I'm sure I believe you all have been approached lately by the Quilting Museum that is directly in back of our corner. And part of the reason we've been working on this for 8 or 9 months is, I think this is all common knowledge, the Quilting Museum, that land is more or less in a ditch. It's greatly depressed from almost every location. And so we've been working with Linda Houston at the Quilting Museum on how do we make her land more buildable for less money, and at the same time, how do we help our corner? So if I can define who's on my corner, I then know what I can do to help Linda. And so what we have worked out with her is more or less a land swap where she receives some of our land north of her property so she could move her Quilting Museum out of the worst part of the ditch, make it more buildable for less cost. It also aligns her entry with the apartments across the street so that the entry points are not disjointed on 94th Street. It saves hundreds of thousands of dollars in retaining walls. We reached an agreement with her that we will assist her with the demolition of her house, which will aid her construction. And we are also sharing costs with her on her entry point off State Avenue into the Quilting Museum, which right now, going from State Avenue down to the Quilting Museum, it's a small ski slope. It is terrain challenged, and we have agreed to work with her, and we will bear the cost for the initial part of the entry, including all the utilities. So I will not sit here tonight and tell you that the museum is not buildable without our transaction with her, but it greatly assists the development of her facility, and it helps us as well with how the land swap and how the traffic would circulate. So we're asking that the site plan to the development agreement include Casey's in that location, and that the narrative go along with that. Development item 2 that we would ask you to consider, and again, I'm paraphrasing, like I said, Todd and Kurt can go in more detail, but in this additional bonds language in the development agreement, it states that before any additional bonds can be dispersed, that all users that create the tax have gone vertical with construction. Most of our users are vertical. There are a couple that are not. And I believe that was put in there to safeguard really the bond buyers. They're the ones at risk. I mean, it's their money. They're the ones at risk. Through the process of going through the bond underwriting with the UG's engaged underwriter and the third-party consultants, the bond underwriter suggested that that covenant is really not strong enough. The bond buyers will want to know that all the money is not dispersed just because all users are vertical. They want to hold $5 million back until every user is open. So not just vertical, they want every user open. So as I believe Shelley had said before, the money we're seeking in this next tranche of STAR bonds has already been spent. And so it's reimbursement pursuant to the development agreement. So part of the bonds would fund to us at the closing, but $5 million is held back until every user opens. that puts Homefield at risk of those users opening. And that, so we think, or we believe that is, it's a little bit more onerous on us, but that is at the advice of the bond underwriter, and it seems to make sense. Development item 3, and this is one that I will, before I start, I'll just apologize because the time frame we threw out over the summer or spring when it was approved what was wrong. I don't believe it's possible, and that is the $4.35 million private investment. As currently written in the development agreement, we have to make that investment in a geographic location in Wyandotte County 6 months after the bond closing. And I know this committee, as well as others, questioned me, is 6 months enough time? And we said it was. I'm big enough to admit when we were wrong. 6 months is too fast. With new commissioners and a new mayor coming in, and with the difficulty in finding an investment that fits, and for us taking it to the Board of County Commissioners for approval and getting that approval, and to do all that in 6 months, especially as we come into Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, that's a fast time. So, and I've been working with Chelsea, I've been working with other developers, other brokers. We're trying to find the investment, but we feel 6 months is very fast. So in the development agreement, or in what is proposed, the $5 million I referenced before for the holdback, we have until the end of 27 for those users to all open. And so what's been suggested is the $4,350,000 be tied into the $5 million, and we have until the end of 27 to make that investment. We can make it at any time, but the test for us to get the money released would be A, all users are open, and B, we've made the $4,350,000 investment. In that case, we get the escrow released to us. If A or B does not happen, we do not get that money, and that $5 million would revert to the bond holders, to the bond trustee to redeem bonds. And the way the development agreement is currently written, the $4,350,000, if not invested timely, reverts to the bond buyers to redeem bonds. But in all cases, the current development agreement and what we are requesting, should the unthinkable happen and the $5 million goes back to the bond buyers, that does not alleviate or remove Homefield's obligation to make that investment. They're still obligated to make that investment. And I would put a exclamation point on that when you look at Homefield and you look at what Homefield has done since they acquired this asset, everything they've been asked to do, everything they said they would deliver, they have done, and they've done, frankly, in my opinion, more, particularly in light of what has happened with interest rates, construction pricing, and the overall volatility in the market. So with that, I apologize for maybe being a little bit too lengthy or verbose, and any questions you all have. Other than that, I'll be quiet and turn it over to Todd and or Kurt, and I thank you for your consideration.
Sure. Commissioner, let me just put a bow around everything that Richard just said. The Fifth Amendment that is on the table before you is largely the same document you saw 3 weeks ago about a CID for K1 speed and hotel, and nothing about any of that changed at all in the last 3 weeks. The only things that are new are the 3 things that Richard just mentioned, and they are all very much related to the bond issue that Shelley was talking about in the item before. So it really is the 3 things Richard mentioned. I'll put a fine point on each of them just to make sure that we're really clear about what's new. 1, the Casey's store that they want to put on State Avenue. The development agreement today restricts it. There are restrictions in the development agreement about only one C-store, but the development agreement did always contemplate that a second one could be approved by the unified government if it decided. And it articulated quality standards about Quick Trip or Buc-ee's. It does not mention Casey's by name. But again, that was a quality standard. And as Richard has just articulated, Casey's is a quality operator. So we could specifically adjust that restriction to allow for Casey's. The second thing Richard mentioned is also right. There are conditions in the development agreement about dispersing the bond proceeds that would be issued in these bonds that Shelley was talking about. They are held up, though, by the fact that Casey's, Texas Roadhouse, the Hilton Hotel, and K1 Speed would not have commenced construction in time. And so it does alleviate that condition.
I'm sorry, Todd. K1 and Hilton are both under construction.
Okay.
You could just want to.
Just
Again, the vertical thing, keep going. You're right.
Yeah, it's commenced vertical construction. The condition is about commencing vertical construction. And true that neither of them have gone vertical yet.
You're correct. By the time the bonds would issue, barring something really odd, they will be vertical by that time.
Okay. Having said that, it does allow the bonds to go forward, money to be dispersed, and in lieu of that, we would have money escrowed in the bond issue that would help secure that obligation. And then the third and final thing that we've talked about a lot tonight is the community investment that is articulated in the development agreement. It's been there for a long time about investments in downtown projects in historically urban areas in Kansas City, Kansas, all of which investments would have to be approved by the commissions. It's $4.3 million. And Richard just articulated very well. The only thing that's different here is the amount of time they would have to make those investments. And what it currently says is 180 days after the bonds are issued, and they're asking for 24 months instead. So commissioners, those are the three things that are new. Those are the only things that have changed since you saw this 3 weeks ago. But that is the amendment that is in front of you with respect to Homefield. Happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I assume that the 4.35 million that everyone is referring to would be east of 635.
Yes, Commissioner.
Be more specific.
That's right. The document talks about downtown or other historically urban areas of Kansas City, and frankly, you're gonna lay eyes on each of those investments about specifically where they are and what projects those are invested in. But yes, everybody has always talked about that area.
Okay. And everything in the development agreement tonight, Todd, do you agree with Richard Napper and his associates?
I do. I mean, all of the changes have been characterized correctly.
Okay.
If that's what you mean.
I think that's what I meant.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm gonna-
Richard sells his project very well. And so I don't feel like it's my job to sell, right? I'm supposed to be sort of impartial about like what's on the table. The decision about Casey's, for example, there's a restriction. They've asked to waive it. Is Casey's a great operator? Yes, but purely a policy decision for you and not for me, right? So, I can't embrace every characterization that came out of Richard's mouth a minute ago. I don't want to be in that business ever. But what I can tell you is that the changes that are before you have been properly characterized. It is a fair character.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Committee, any other questions? Commissioner Wakes?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Masala. The agreement with the Casey's, that includes Casey's not only selling pizza, but also selling petroleum gasoline.
That's correct.
And this location will be on State Avenue?
That's correct.
Okay. And the other location of Stacy is about 130th. This would be at what?
94th?
94th, right, again, walking distance more or less down the sidewalk from the Homefield building.
Thank you.
Mr. Stites?
Stites District 7. So I got a couple different questions that I want to ask. And I'll start with the first one. And thanks for clarifying what the comment that was made on the attendance. I didn't remember how that was worded or what was said referencing the chiefs. And now you depicted it that it's around 900,000 or close to it. I think that some of the concerns or the thoughts behind that were, well, if that's the case, the amount of money that is being spent outside of home field at all these other entities, right? They're shopping at the Legends, they're shopping at all these other places, yet they see our taxes go up, right? And that's a concern. And I hate to, but I mean, they do have to be. I'm glad that people are there and they're shopping and they're buying and spending it. But I would like to see if there was a way, and I don't know how it could be, that we could start trying to see some of the impact of these developments on our budget. How we can do that, to see what that would look like. You know, TGT dollars, sales tax dollars. Richard, I'm guessing that the K1 will pay full property tax,
Yes.
okay? And I'm guessing that the hotel will pay full property tax,
Yes.
okay? And then Casey's, they're not asking for any incentive, is that correct?
That is correct. They are not.
Okay, so one of the things I wanted to ask, and I have had many conversations with Linda Houston, the Quilt Museum, right? This is not anything new. I think for maybe 3 or 4 years, right? She's contacted me to talk about the possibility of the Quilt Museum. And really quick, funny side note, I was with Senator Roger Marshall, and we were driving down State Avenue. This was several years ago, a couple years ago, and there was a sign that was outside on the corner of roughly 93rd and State Avenue, and it said "Future Home of Quilting Museum." And at the time, home field wasn't completed, and the senator asked me, he said, "Man, how big of a quilt museum are you guys building here?" Thinking that home field was the thing. So I know Linda's been working on this. Do you know what the investment is approximately on the quilt museum? I think I have a number, but I just want to.
And I don't want to speak for her, but the information that I have received would lead me to believe her cost all in would be in excess of $20 million.
Okay, and I was thinking it was somewhere between 15 and $20 million for this quilt museum, and not, go ahead.
No, and like you, Commissioner Stites, we've been working with Ms. Houston for years, and more or less the stars align that now we can define who would be on our corner, provided you all agree that, you know, the $20 billion public company is a good one to put there. The stars have aligned to allow all this to work together with her.
And then the Casey's, what would you say that amount is on the investment? How much is the Casey's? And I'm
6 to 7 million, but I
so
call it 6 to 8 million, somewhere in that neighborhood.
somewhere in
sir.
that bar. So we're talking about $25 million of investment right there in that hard corner of 94th and State Avenue. And I think that that are both going to be paying full property tax and bringing. So will her entrance, and I know we're not here to discuss her project, but does her entrance only come off of State Avenue, or is there an entrance off of 94th Street also?
She has an entrance off 94th as well as State, and I think if I didn't, I'm sorry. When we swapped land with her so she could move her building out of the most depressed area, the lowest land area, and move her building to the north, it allowed her to move her 94th Street entry drive so it lines up with the apartment community across the street. Now you don't have disjointed ingress, egress between the two. It lines up nicely. So she has, and I not speaking for her plan, but from what I've seen, an entry point off 94th as well as an entry point off of State Avenue.
Okay. And so can you help me with this Series B bonds of, that was left over from the Schlitter bond days? So those were bonds that were, I don't know what the right word is. They were forced on you guys to pay even though that it was not part of your project.
This is a place where I'd probably disagree with
Okay.
the chair.
All right, well, I don't know.
There was an agreement about those Series B bonds. Those were general obligation bonds that the unified government was carrying.
The unified government was on the hook for those bonds.
Correct.
So they wanted to get out from underneath those bonds, so they
Absolutely.
put them on to be
Absolutely.
paid
So
off.
as we negotiated the package that became Home Field's $150 million of potential star bonds, part of the equation was we wanted that $8.5 million series out because it was a GO pledge and it was a part of the omnibus agreement about this project. And so I'm not sure why that's part of the presentation tonight, but that was always part of the deal, and you bet we cared about it and wanted it taken out.
Yeah, off of our obligation. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we wanted it in-house.
Absolutely.
But none of
Absolutely.
these other bonds are geo-backed, right?
Correct.
They're all
Correct.
private.
These are all special obligation
Special
bonds.
obligation bonds and not, I think that is what I've got for now. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.
Any other questions? Well, I'm pleased to see that we got the Quilt Museum built and that we've got the debt retired. But that negotiation doesn't play into this. So I want to concentrate on this if I may. So I'm going to bring us back to dead center. The 2% CID is, there's a couple changes in this agreement, Todd. The last agreement we made, it made the monies that was coming from Menards to help with the prior agreement that we just discussed was 80%. Now we've changed it to 100%. So we are now losing that sales tax portion to.
Well, Commissioner, I know where you're going. You're right. Initially, it was 80% of the state's money that was pledged, and the state retained 20% of the state sales tax. And a couple of amendments ago, we did make that change so that it is now 100% of the state's money that is in, not 80%. It doesn't really impact the unified government's pledge of its local. We were always 100% in the local component, but the state's money did change. You're absolutely right.
And we have to be 100% in unless we already have targeted that.
That's exactly right. The statute requires us to be 100% in.
Right. So we've got that issued. I'm going back and looking at the amount of changes that have been requested of us. And the K1 speed is, there's a 1% fee for this administration of the CID for K1 speed.
Yeah, that's right. I hope this helps, Commissioner. With CIDs, our development agreement with Homefield kind of provides in a broad way that we may decide to take on and do CIDs like this on a specific case-by-case basis. But the development agreement provides that if we decide to go do that, we want to get specific about how much money we put in, what percentage of the total project cost it is. And among other things, we do say, look, for administering this this pay-as-you-go CID, the staff, the lawyer time, like there needs to be an administrative fee that we're going to take off the top of the proceeds to satisfy the administrative burden and responsibility of taking care of this thing.
Sure. And I commend you for ensuring that that's in there. I mean,
Yep, you bet.
Staff for its time. I know the CID, one of them's 4 million and the other one's 2.5 million for a total of 6.5.
That's right.
2% CID on both, if I
That's right.
understand correctly, which is the maximum, right?
Yeah, 2% is the maximum. That's right.
The 50% limitation, was this, help me remember, Todd, I could be wrong, but I thought there was a 48 or 46% participation agreement, 60,
Yeah.
52%, something like that. Now we've taken those percentages away and went back to 50-50.
Actually, we have both. We've got layers, kind of belt and suspenders, limitations on the CID proceeds. The 50/50 you're pointing out, you're right, is there. It's in all of our agreements. And it's really about timing and making sure that we're never at a place where we've got more public money in it than they have private money. And so the 50/50 limitation protects us there. But Commissioner, you're right. We also do have a public-private ratio for each of these projects. With respect to K1 speed, the ultimate, at the end of that project, we're never going to have more than 20% of the total project cost. The $4 million that's going there can't be more than 20% of their total project cost. And with respect to the Hilton Hotel, it's 13% of the total project cost. So you're right. We've got layers of limitations here. One, the 50/50 is mostly about timing, and the 20% and 13% in this case are really about measuring it at the end once we know all of the numbers.
If I may make a comment, and Todd, I think you would agree, but both K1 and Hilton will have each invested approximately $21 to $22 million each before there's even the chance of any CID's funding. And again, the CID is specific to those users, and it's only after they're open because tax can't be created until they're open. So there's no risk on anybody other than those users, if enough people come through the door, that they're able to fully monetize that CID amount. And again, it can't happen until $43 million of new money has been invested by those two users in total. And that's not money coming from the CID, money is not coming from the UG or a bond buyer or anybody else. That is, if someone comes to K1 and they buy a $40 ticket, they're going to have an additional 80 cents with that ticket. And again, just at those two specific users.
Yeah, I think many of us are aware of how CID works, and it's a 22-year after that. So
That's right.
I think many of us understand that. I just trying to make record here for the public's information that it's $6.5 million, $4 million for one, $2.5 million for another.
That's exactly right. And your point is well taken. There are layers of protection here.
The other one, the PAYGO, which is relevant. Do we know what these CIDs are for? Because if I remember, Star Bonds pays for infrastructure. And so is the CID to pay for infrastructure, or what is the CID for?
So and there was some discussion about this at the last meeting. I wasn't here, but I did watch the tape. I know you guys got into stormwater improvements. Let me tell you what the development agreement says. And then Richard may want to chime in about where he thinks this money is going with specificity. Our development agreement on CID, unlike Star Bonds where the state is really specific about the line items and infrastructure, CID could be used very broadly from a legal perspective. Our policy approach to CID is a little different than that because your point's well taken, Star Bonds and infrastructure and so forth. With CID, we've taken the approach that we can be flexible about where the money is spent in terms of the document in our contract, but the limitation really is hard construction costs only. So in this case, we've really said it can't be spent to reimburse the land. It can't be spent for soft costs, whether it's design or development fee or lawyers. There's a bunch of costs. I mean, there's $40.6 million of costs that are anticipated for these things. And what we've said is, look, as long as it's hard construction costs about building these two assets that we decided to invest in, you can spend the money wherever you like on hard construction costs. And that's really the only limitation. And again, that's just a policy approach where you don't spend it on the land, you don't spend it on soft costs, but if you spend CID money on the hard construction costs for these assets coming out of the ground, we've been okay with that as an approach from a policy perspective.
I think it's just the semantics of the CID. The investor counts that CID towards their 50%. And that's gets back to the 50/50, the 48/52 that I'm aware of, Todd, that in the contract agreement. So that's my question. It's not really meeting a 50/50 threshold.
Yeah, and Commissioner, your point is really well taken. When as is typical, you are way down in the weeds of the development agreement and how we measure the public-private ratio about the STAR bonds. We've been very clear that when we take CID money, and to the extent that any of that money would benefit the developer, I'm not sure that's really happening here, but if it, on other CIDs, like the one involving Margaritaville, we've been very clear that that's not private money. That is public money as you go measure the ratio and figure it out. So I really appreciate the point, and I just want to assure you that we thought about and contemplated that, and that is dealt with in the language in the development agreement.
Thank you. Some of us do read this information. The 24 months, I understand that, the 4.3 million, we're going to do that out of the tranche, so developers not really putting it up. That 5 million is coming from the state and going into an account that will be held in escrow for us. The only other comment I would have, and thank you for your patience with me in reading through this contract, is that we would have to make a special allowance to put a Casey's on the corner of 94th Street within this agreement. I guess my question is, in light of the proposed, I mean, we talked about the Quilt Museum. I want to talk about Buc-ee's that's being proposed just to the west of this development on the other side of 435. And I also want to talk about the private investment of another convenience store gas station 2 blocks to the east from this proposed site. So if you'll bear with me, from 63rd and State Avenue, we have a gas station, 63rd State Avenue on the corner. We have one at 68th and State Avenue on the same side of the street on the corner. At 73rd Street, I believe it is, right by McDonald's or across from Captain D's, whatever it is right there, we have a gas station. And then we have one at the corner of 79th, right by the police station, and the fire station sits on that corner right by Go Chicken Go. And then we also have one, if I remember correctly, I believe there's still one at 91st and State. That's the new convenience store that was just recently built. I don't think it's even been open a month yet. And now we're going to put another one within another 4 to 5 block area. I guess the question is the saturation of service stations along a corridor something that this community wants to see in light of having a major retailer coming in that is investing a tremendous amount of money in our Star Bonds district known as Buc-ee's. And it's so, if I remember correctly, Star Bonds, you can't cannibalize projects, but yet we're seeing we have to make an allowance for a pizza place that's disguised as a gas station, or a gas station that's disguised as a police station. And I mean no disrespect on that. I'm hearing two things. One, it's going to sell a lot of pizza. It's also a service station, gas station. So it's a point of preference for the community. Do you want to see that area inundated with a number of gas stations? And I understand the investment that goes in there, but I also know that there's another gas station on the north side of the project, a Sinclair station, I believe on 90, might be 96th. I'm trying to think how the road curves around there on Parallel, a Sinclair station. So it's not like we're starving for fuel stations in that area, but there was a reason why when we set up the Star Bonds districts that we chose to disallow that. So we wouldn't have a proliferation of that. And so I guess there are some of us that are concerned about how many fuel stations do we want along a major corridor that leads to our tourist district.
Yeah, Commissioner, I guess I would only say you're right when you characterize it that there is a restriction and we would need to make a change to allow for the Casey's to go there. That is true. And you're also right. I alluded to this earlier. It is really very much a policy decision for this committee and the governing body. I would probably let Richard speak to the market forces and the kind of operator that it is. But you are correct when you say it does require a change to the agreement, and you're correct when you say it's a policy decision for you all to evaluate and decide.
Commissioner, may I add one comment for Peterson?
Yes, Kurt.
Developer, thank you. Putting a point on something Todd said, but I think it's a pretty important point, which is the exact language that existed going back to the original 2021 development agreement. Said, in addition, Commissioner Stites was spot on 98th Street. It's a Phillips 66 there. The development agreement said, in addition to that Phillips 66, we could see the commission approving another gas station. Pizza place, gas station. You know what I'm talking about. And it simply said that it needs to be on State Avenue, and it's going to be in project area, not to get too much in the weeds, but you're a detailed guy, project area 3 or project area 1. Well, at the time, that whole talk of how we didn't own any land east of 94th Street, yeah, project area 3, project area 1, because that was true. All the land on State Avenue that we owned was in those two project areas. But then we bought some land on State Avenue that ended up, for beyond what's important for this committee, getting put in project area 5. So the only change you're making here tonight, other than to recognize Casey's as a first-class operator, is literally, I'm looking at the language in the amendment where it inserts 5, project area 5. We already knew there'd probably be another one and to be on State Avenue. We just didn't know to put in that was project area 5. Hopefully that helps. That's the complete history of kind of how we got to this tonight.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. All of that is true.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Stites?
Stites District 7. In the initial presentation, there was no discussion about Texas Roadhouse, but I would like to hear about it. Hopefully that's okay.
Sure. Texas Roadhouse is under contract for I'm going to call it the sliver of land that is due west of Dairy Farmers of America and due south of Frontier Justice. So it comes up against 435 to the west, 98th Street to the south and east-ish, and France Family to the north. And so they're under contract. They are in planning. They are hopeful to submit for PDP in the month of October. But they have been, again, according to them, when I've spoken to them repeatedly, they've been searching for the right location in this area for years and found this spot right on 435 and love the visibility. And again, and again, don't quote me on this because I don't have it in front of me, but I believe they're a $12 billion public company that is highly, highly regarded from, again, a Wall Street financial standpoint.
Okay, it's not lost on me, Commissioner Burrows, what you were saying about, Buc-ee's and different gas stations up and down State Avenue. However, I do think that there is brand loyalty to some folks that will go to Casey's because that's their brand, right? They like McDonald's. Some like Quick Trip. You'll never get them out of a Quick Trip. That's where they go. The folks that I believe that are going to visit Buc-ee's is not the same people that are going up and down State Avenue down to 63rd Street, right? We're capturing the folks that are going up and down I-70, that are travelers, that are never going to make it down to 63rd Street. They're going to stop in at 110th Street, they grab their stuff, spend their couple $100 when they thought they were going in there to spend $20 for gas. Well, I guess that's old days, $20. I guess you spend a couple $100 in gas now, but they're coming out with a t-shirt, a hat, a mug, and a shoe shine.
Commissioner, I would tend to agree with you. And again, we do think that the offerings from Casey's relative to all the youth athletic fields in that area will be tremendous business and a benefit to everybody. And again, I live this world. If I have an hour in between games and I want to grab pizza, Diet Coke, and a Gatorade, I could be trapped in the parking lot of Buc-ee's for an hour, which again is a good thing. But if I am at a tournament or a practice, probably not. But yeah, I mean, they're both tremendous operators. I think it's incredible that they're going to both be in the marketplace.
Right. And I think that it kind of, I'm excited about the opportunity for them to come in there. I think that's a great corner for that. The user that's up on Parallel, I think you're talking about just different travelers, different people that are going on, getting off of State Avenue. It's going to be the way I think it's designed, what I'm hearing is it's going to be a right in right in off of State. So if you're traveling west, you'll turn right and then a right out. And then will you have access onto 94th Street where you could go north or south?
Pursuant to the traffic study, access onto 94th would be allowed pursuant to the traffic study.
Okay, with full access, north, south?
Yes.
Okay, okay, that's all. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, is there, I'll ask the clerk if there was any comments from the public.
No comments received.
Is there anybody online that would like to speak to this? Hands raised.
I'm gonna give it a minute because there were a couple hands. We'll see if they put them back up. We do have a Scott Harding.
Mr. Hardy, you were given up 3 minutes to make your comments. Please state your name and city of residence of record.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name's Scott Harding. I'm in Wyandotte County. My question is, how is the citizens actually going to get any kind of property tax relief with all this money that's coming in to all these developers and all the owners and all this? How is the taxpayers going to get any relief on these taxes? We don't see anything ever on any of these developments that actually helps us on our property tax. Can anybody in this room tell me how you guys are going to make it to where our property taxes are going to go down instead of up? That's my question.
Anyone want to answer that question?
Mr. Harding, this is Chelsea Chisholm, Economic Development Director. I guess the best response I would have for that question is that all these projects contemplated in the home field development would pay full property taxes.
But that does not help the citizens or the property tax owners that's the residents here at all. All you guys are going to do is spend it on something else so the taxpayers never get any relief. How can we make it to where we can do that? Anybody got any ideas?
May I, Mr. Harding's, Chuck Stites District 7, I think one of the things that I'm saying, and if you were listening in the very beginning, one thing that I asked was the economic impact that happens. Now, and I'm not going to sit here and beat up on any commissioner, right? But I think the unified government being responsible with the amount of money that we receive in full property, we need to evaluate where those dollars are being spent responsibly, right? If they're giving us X amount of dollars and we're spending it on other things other than what you claim to be as not having tax relief. I mean, I agree. I want to see taxes go down. And I think that, you know, this falls on the unified government to spend our money appropriately.
I agree, Chuck, and I would think that we need to pay off our debt instead of borrowing all the time and never borrow until we get our debt paid for. Maybe that'd give us property tax relief.
And if I can, and Shelley, I know that you may not be prepared to answer this, but we as a commission have voted on new development that would go specifically to, would any of this project assist with either tax relief or paying off debt?
Shelley Kneven, CFO. Yes, one of the resolutions talks about new construction, and so 10% of the increased value would go towards debt. So it does have that value, but you also have the immediate value, as you pointed out earlier, in terms of these are property tax paying parcels. So when they pay property tax that's not abated, that goes into, it's the new construction, new development that helps then to alleviate the need for increased taxes because you have new revenue not related to increased taxes.
Okay, I appreciate it. And I knew that we had voted on some language that said that we were going to earmark, I guess, dollars on new development that would go specifically to pay off debt or to go towards tax relief.
So the, Shelley can even CFO, the other ordinance is when when a tax incentive ends, then the incremental increase then can go for property tax or for debt. But the one that's very related to new construction, it's about debt. It only lists off debt to offset that.
Do we have any idea, just roughly, does anybody have any idea on just the two? Well, three, I don't care. We can use the K1 karting, the hotel, and Casey's. And I mean, I think you can't throw in Casey's without having the discussion of the quilting museum, because I think that it's more difficult for the quilting museum to happen if this land swap situation doesn't happen. But do we have any idea of what that property tax value would be? That would be as soon as these things are constructed and come on. Does anybody have any idea? And I know that if you don't, you don't, right? I don't want anybody to guess, but I would have to think that it's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of new that would be coming into property tax towards that we as a commission can see fit to use however we see fit.
So Shelley can even CFO, we don't have that tonight in a reliable way, but we could by Thursday.
Okay.
There's other Casey's, there's other hotels, there's K1 in another area.
Okay. And Scott, Mr. Harding, I'm sorry that I hope that helps with some of the question, but that is my goal also, is how do we use economic development to relieve the burden of taxes that everybody in Wyandotte County is seeing continually increase. And I think good development is how we reduce that obligation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Dr. Alma Rosas Hall.
Ms. Hall, can you hear us? Ms. Hall? Madam Clerk, does she still have her hand up?
Dr. Hall?
Might let Mr. Harding, oh, he just muted. I was just making sure that he knew he was unmuted.
You have permission to talk. Unmute yourself, please.
Madam Clerk, is there anybody else online with her hand up?
There are no other hands online.
Ms. Hall, one more time.
Hello?
Here we go. Okay, please.
All right. Good evening. Thank you for giving me a little bit of time. I have a question. I have several, but I'm going to cut it down to two. Question, have you reviewed the expenditures of the first bond issue and the revenue it brought in? And then if it has been successful, where is the money going, or where is allocated? And if you have not had any time to review it, how can we make sure that we're making an educated vote? This is basically based because, 2 weeks ago, we raised all of our taxes again with the bonds and the, what is the other one? The mill levies. So if we're gonna add more to that, I want to know if we have, where we can actually see where the expenditures are going, if the revenue is coming in, where is that heading to, in simple terms.
Ms. Knieven?
Shelley Kneven, CFO. So we do review the construction expenditures. We have an outside expert that reviews those and certifies that the expenditures were made properly as permitted by the development agreement. So that occurs and has already occurred. As far as the revenues and where the revenues are going, they go into a special fund whenever there's a Star Bonds district, and that is fully accounted for. And then the expenditures are to pay for the Star Bonds that have already been issued, which was in 2022. So we're only about 3 years into that, and it'll go on for 22 years, 20 years. So we've got 17 more years, unless those bonds pay off early, which does happen when a development's more successful than what is projected. So we have a full accounting of all of that. We have to account for it in our audit. We have to account for it in a report to the state. We have ongoing discussions with the state because the majority of the revenues for a Star Bonds district technically are state revenues. So they have a very vested interest to make sure that that's all properly accounted for.
Ms. Hall, is that it?
You'll need to unmute yourself.
Ms. Hall, any other comments?
Mute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so as commissioners, have the commissioners have a certified report so they can review this, or is this something that you are going to eventually send it in so they can have an educated guess or vote?
So Shelley can even.
Make sure I understood your question. This is Commissioner Burrows. I'm looking at the contract in front of me now, presently, the amendments as been presented this evening. I've been pretty thorough, but I'm not an attorney and I'm not going to pretend to be one, but I can read legal documents. If you have a particular question in reference to how the commissioners approach this information, each one of us approach it differently, so I can't answer for the entire commission.
Okay. And then the other question that I have, again, because I live here and I work based on what the money, based on all the taxes that, we're getting, they're becoming higher and higher. The jobs that I'm seeing being brought into our community are hourly wages. How are we going to ensure that the job market that we are attracting are going to provide a livable wage for our community, considering our taxes are going so high that some people can't live here?
If I may, Ms. Hall, that will be, I will ask Mr. LaSala or Mr. Napper or Mr. Peterson in reference to the contract language. That has not been discussed here this evening, but in prior contract negotiations, sometimes the wages are discussed. I don't know, this is the third or fourth, fifth time that we've had this contract over the life of the development project. So I'll defer to legal if there was anything in there in reference to what a livable wage is. And I don't know if there's a standard for what they refer to as a livable wage, but I do know what the federal wage limit is and what we as a community have decided as a minimum wage on state and city projects. But I'll let one of the councils or make comment as to what.
Yeah, our development agreement does not get into the wages that the retailers pay. In a Star Bond project, it's always going to be about retail. And so unlike other incentives that are sort of jobs related, in a retail project, it would be uncommon for a development agreement to even contemplate what the wages are. The only thing I would say about this is that there are projections in the revenue studies and the feasibility studies that we conduct. So there will be some detail in the documents that we've got about the projected construction jobs as well as the permanent jobs that are created by a project like this. But I would not expect that to get into great detail about the wages that are paid, other than, as you say, Commissioner, there are minimum wages that are required, and all of the components of the project are required to comply with applicable law.
We have LMW requirements that are spelled.
That's correct.
Spelled out in a lot of these projects. So those numbers are there.
That's
But
correct.
These are a lot of retail service industry jobs.
That's right.
Different than manufacturing, but the construction jobs, and those are the ones that will have the standard wages set by either union scale or I'll think of it here in a minute, the other one, prevailing wage.
Yeah, right.
Prevailing wage. Yes.
I just want to, on the record, due to the executive orders of the president, we are not currently addressing the local minority and women-owned business requirements, so as not to put our federal funding in jeopardy.
Say that again, Chelsea. Go ahead.
With the president's current executive orders, it has been the direction for staff to no longer audit or try and tie to incentives the local minority and women-owned business requirements, so as not to jeopardize our federal funding allocation with those executive orders.
Thank you for that. In the past, they were in the contracts.
Correct. Yes, you're absolutely correct.
That's right.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, are there any more hands raised?
There are no other hands raised.
Okay. Is there anyone here that would care to speak to this item present this evening? If you are, please just come to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes. State your name and address. Okay. Let the record show no one stepped forward. Committee, this is an action item. This is the CID. This is the Fifth Amendment to the Assignment Assumption and Second Amendment and Restated Development Agreement for the Homefield Project. And that's just for clarification, creation of a Community Improvement District, CID, for K1 Racing and Hilton Hotel for $6.5 million total, counting both. Then we have a developers has requested a CID of 2% for 22 years. New subsections to K1, 99-room hotel is a 55,000 square foot commercial development and indoor electric kart racing. Extension from 180 days to, I believe, 2 years, 24 months. And then modifies the conditions in the development agreement to allow for a gas station and convenience store. So I'm going to take a little bit of privilege here as chair. And I divide the question on this in reference to the agreement on the gas station and bring it up as a separate item for the full commission discussion.
Well, I think that you've got a amendment before you that I think you could advance to the full commission and ask. You could do a couple of things. You could decide not to take it forward tonight and give us direction to change something about it, including the Casey's portion of it. Another thing you could do is advance it to the full commission on a fast track to Thursday as requested. You could take it up there and I suppose you could have a motion to approve the amendment, but without the amendments to the Casey's restriction. You could do that too. You could, I suppose, direct us to approve, you could approve the amendment with the requirement of the stipulation that we remove paragraph, whatever that is. I think you could do that. The developer would probably object to a lot of that, but, or you could approve it as is and take it forward. I think those are your choices. Jeff, do you disagree or
from what I understand, they're kind of standalone measures. I think Casey's doesn't have really much to do with the rest of the project, other than the fact that it's part of the project.
Well, yeah, and I guess I should say this, Commissioner, the bonds that we're talking about and the revenue studies that we've run and the bond transaction that is proceeding does have the Casey's revenues embedded within them. So if it were the will of this committee or the governing body to approve this, but to pull the changes to Casey's out, it does probably set us back to where we're redoing the revenue studies and we're redoing, I don't know that we're doing all the bond documents, but all the projections are different and we would be back at the drawing board on the bonds a little bit. We would.
I get it. I understand. It tells me that there was already movement afoot to approve this evening, to have the monies included in the sales tax projection for the Star Bonds project or for the Casey's project to be part of the Star Bonds project. I think it's just me. I'm standing on principle with this, that you don't cannibalize other businesses along a corridor for the sake of giving a special privilege to a business that is coming into a Star Bonds project. Now, granted, there's not another Casey's. The closest one I can think of might be over off of Midland in
There's one
Where
on
is it?
Parallel.
130th Street. But I know initially Star Bonds had criteria as to what could go into a Star Bonds district. And so I'm standing on principle on that. And I've made my opposition known. And I'm not opposed to development and projects. I'm just thinking of the other businesses along that corridor will be impacted. They don't get the special privileges that a Casey's would get in this development project. So that's just my comment.
I have one comment also when you're ready.
Commissioner Stites?
Stites District 7. So in the Star Bond District, how many steakhouses are there? Anybody know? Several.
Yeah, in the district, yeah.
Texas Roadhouse is getting ready to be another one, right?
Yep.
Well, I'm just saying.
Well, the
So there's
district-
a lot of
the district
restaurants,
includes
right?
Village
There's
West.
a lot of different places to go eat is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's right.
So cannibalizing, when you have have restaurants right there, you decide which one you want to
There
go
are
to.
multiple restaurants in the
Go to,
district.
if you
That's
want
right.
Italian, you go to Italian. If you want pizza, you get pizza. If you want,
That's
right?
right.
So if you want to go to get Casey's gasoline, you can get Casey's gas or Casey's coffee or Casey's pizza. You don't have to go there if you don't want to. Thank you.
I get it. And let me clarify the comment. We had Cracker Barrel here in our community, and when they wanted to relocate to the Legends, they were forbid to do so by the state because they could not have another location within a Star Bonds district. You can't cannibalize from a regular district to a Star Bonds district. Mr. LaSalle, if I'm wrong, please correct me.
No, you're right. There are restrictions about relocation. You can't grab an existing business within the community and move it into a Star Bonds district and still capture the revenue. Now, you can move that restaurant, but you
Correct.
can't count the revenue. So if what we're talking about here is the relocation of an existing Casey's versus a brand new one from scratch, those are different propositions, right? If this one is brand new, there is nothing in the statute that forbids us from counting the revenue and having it be part of the bond issuance. If it were someplace else down State Avenue and we were moving it here from outside the district, the statute would prohibit us from using that revenue.
If I may, Casey's is not the beneficiary of any Star Bond dollars whatsoever. They are not getting any special privilege or investment or cost offset or anything of the like. I just want to make sure we were clear on that. They are not entitled to, will not receive anything.
They're outside the Star Bond boundaries, right?
They're in the Star Bond district, but no Star Bonds will be used for any of their costs at all. They receive nothing unique or special whatsoever with regard to the Star Bonds.
Well, it's interesting that we bring up Cracker Barrel because when that occurred, Cracker Barrel, and I remember it vividly, because I spoke with those folks and because I hated to see them leave our community, right? They were in a good location, 78th Street, for the reason for leaving, what have you. But when I spoke to their retail development department back then, they said they wouldn't ever relocate to Wyandotte County because of certain people that were employed at the time in the unified government. That was the problem why they didn't come back here. That's all. Thanks.
So the infrastructure work that'll be going on in the corner to realign the road work and all of that is going to be bore by Casey's?
Yes, they're not the recipient of, no star bonds are being used on the Casey's project whatsoever.
Okay, committee? Oh, Ms. Kneven?
Yes, Shelley Kneven, CFO. So just a point of clarification. We included projections, just like they have projected Texas Roadhouse, but it hasn't actually started construction. So they projected a Casey's knowing that we had this issue and that the development agreement did not allow it. We have it broken out in a detailed way. So our revenue consultants are aware that Casey's may or may not go forward, and they would be in the position to adjust the revenue study and work with the underwriter. It would resize the bonds. But if that was the desire of the group, we could still come back forward on October 30th to be able to proceed with bonds. It would just be yet a smaller issuance because they wouldn't have time to find a replacement company. So I just want to make that clear that we didn't try to presuppose the outcome of what the commission's decision was. We just take all of the information and we plug it in, and then having it the same week as why I had the overview of the bond issue is that I think it was a little confusing because we're talking about issues that affect one another, one going through committee, one not. So, but just to share that we would be able to pivot if that was a desire of the commission as well as the developer, because they also would be a party to tell us whether or not they want to proceed now or if they want to wait until they have alternative plans.
Thank you, Ms. Kneven. Okay, committee. I'll close the hearing. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, this is an action item. I'd entertain a motion.
Stites motion to approve 4.3 resolution, Fifth Amendment to assignment and assumption, and Second Amendment development agreement to home field project, and to fast track until the October 2nd meeting.
Second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second, and I won't repeat what Commissioner Stites said. I think it's on record. But the fast track, I think, was discussed in earlier information-only comment. So we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Wakes,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Stites,
Aye.
Burrows.
No.
You vote is 3-1, motion fails.
The motion failed. Needed a majority.
Oh, no, she's not on.
No, no, they're not part of it.
That is correct that you voted no, Commissioner Burrows.
I did vote no, but you telling me the motion fails on a 3-1 vote?
That is correct. Standing committee requires a minimum of 4 votes for aye to pass.
Stand at ease for a few minutes. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. We want to do this. We want to do it the way it's supposed to be done. And I believe we understand now. It was the chair on a point of order, we did have someone called in. We thought that there was 5 people on this committee due to a call-in. So only needing the 4 votes was, well, all we were looking at. So I thought we had 5, we had 4. But my confusion after talking with legal, I would, it's not my intent to kill the project. That's never my intent. I voiced my concerns about the items that we discussed. So I would entertain, having voted on the prevailing side, to reconsider previous action on the voting for the amendment that Commissioner Stites put forward.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think if you were on the prevailing side, which was a failure, you would then do the reconsideration.
I would make a motion that we approve. I don't have the information in front of me. Just one second here. I apologize.
Right here, if you'd like me to bring it down to you.
Yeah, I'll get it, Chuck. That's all
I borrowed it from.
I come prepared. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think you could make the motion to reconsider.
Say that again, counsel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think you could, because you're on the prevailing side, the prevailing side would be that the motion fails. You could make the motion to reconsider and then put that to a vote, and then based on that outcome, there could be another motion.
It's a 2-step process is what we're stating here. So having voted on the prevailing side, I would request an opportunity to disallow the prior action. Is there a second?
Do we vote on that? Stites, second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second. Please call roll.
Roll call. Wakes,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Stites,
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
The vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Thank you. I now make a motion, Commissioner Stites. You're one of, oh, I got your book.
I got a copy. All right, so I think what I should do is item 4.3, I make a motion to adopt resolution 4.3, Fifth Amendment to Assignment and Assumption and Second Amendment Development Agreement to the Home Field Project, and to fast track to October the 2nd, next commission meeting.
Wake second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second for approval.
Roll
Call
call.
roll.
Roll call. Wakes,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Stites,
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
The vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Stites to make a motion on item 4.4, resolution setting the public hearing and giving notice of the creation of Community Improvement District, Fifth Amendment for Home Field, and also fast tracking to the October 2nd commission meeting, next commission meeting.
Second.
Point of clarification, if I may, it says October 30th in our booklet.
Yeah, I changed it to October 2nd.
We have to notice up that hearing.
I think that's what they were asking.
Hold on a second, I'm going to substitute
Yeah,
Kevin Wempe in here.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we do this properly. I think the hearing is one thing. To take action on the others is. Oh, that's all right. Here's your book.
So there's that if you need it.
Oh, thank you.
Resolution is for November 6th.
Things made the rounds.
Looks like I did so.
Mr. Wimpy, for some clarification.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Committee. Kevin Wimpy with Gilmore and Bell, Unified Governments Bond Council. So I do think the intent was to call for a fast track to Thursday night. This item is the resolution that calls a public hearing for the first week in November. Due to statutory notices and publications, we need a lapse of time between calling the public hearing and holding it so that those publications and notices can occur. And so that's why there's a motion to take it to Thursday evening to set up that November public hearing.
I lost you there at the end.
Yeah, that's the purpose of the fast track, is to provide this upfront notice by resolution to set up that public hearing in November and provide enough time between to make the publications and mailings required under statute.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Whippy. The date in the book is October 30th, and you mentioned November. So I want to ensure that we have the right motion before we move for approval,
Mhm.
so that we don't sidetrack this thing more than we need. So is October 30th the date? It's not. So what date are we needing?
I'm going to pull my calendar real quickly to be sure. Is it November? Yeah, it'd be November 6th then. I want to say the October 30th date was a leftover from when we thought we were approaching the committee at an earlier time.
It's November 6th.
Correct.
Okay. Great. Committee, do we understand that? I'm going to need to make her the motion to rescind that motion and restate the motion, and I'll need the second to do the same.
November 6th.
Oh, to what date?
I think you need to amend your resolution in section 2 so that the date states that the hearing will be held on November 6th for the CID. It will not affect the bonds. It won't affect what goes on October 2nd. This is just when the public hearing will be held for the CID, which would be November 6th, not October 30th. There's my,
So then why is it a fast track at all? I mean, I don't understand, but I
No.
don't think it is a fast track.
they're separate issues. I can
know.
answer this. So,
The Public hearing for the CID.
correct.
The other one is the funding and the contractual agreement that we've worked on, and the, if I understand correctly, setting the criteria of the CID.
Right.
The reason for the fast track is development agreement makes a variety of changes which affect the bonds. The CID is pay as you go. Okay, there's no bonds. It doesn't affect that. But the Casey's in or out, when the revenue, private investment has to be made, when the completion dates are, those have to match the bond documents. So the fast track was for that purpose, so that we sync up the bond documents for the STAR bonds, not related to the CID, because that portion of it is pay as you go. So the fast track was to get it caught up to the bonds, not related to the CID.
Thank you. Counsel?
I think it needs to be fast-tracked in order to be ready to meet all of the notice requirements to be on for November 6th. The reason is it has to be published twice in the Echo, and then that has to take place at least 7 days before the hearing. So you see how you have to back up, and I think it has to probably be addressed this Thursday, right?
Yeah, to do this in a linear way. Okay, tonight's committee is about a resolution calling a public hearing. That resolution would go to Thursday night, October 2nd of this week. That resolution would kick off notices and publications to set up a public hearing for the first meeting in November, where another action item would come forward to establish the community improvement district.
So this item here, the resolution, does need to be fast-tracked to October 2nd, the way it was presented.
Correct.
Got it. Thank you. Second.
I think
That the date is wrong. I'm just stating the date is wrong
that-
in the document.
Yeah, the public hearing date will be November 6th.
So do I need to make that in the motion?
Please.
Okay, so Stites, I make a motion for item 4.4, resolution setting public hearing, giving notice of the creation of community improvement district and the amendment, Fifth Amendment for Homefield, and for that item to be fast-tracked to October 2nd, the next full commission, and so that the hearing is scheduled for November 6th, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Counsel, that amendment was read correctly, correct? A motion?
Correct.
All right. I think we all understand now. Ignore the document. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call. Wakes,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Stites,
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
The vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
And Chair, may I make one other comment before we move on to the next item?
Sure.
So one thing that I had requested during the discussion is that you might be able to bring something back to us of how this project in its totality has impacted revenues that come into the unified government and how we well, not how we have dispersed them, but the amount of money that this project has brought into current unified government coffers. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, that takes us to the end of our business for this evening. That concludes our meeting. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion for adjournment. Motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call, Wakes,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Stites, Burrows.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0, motion carries.
Thank you. Please stick around for the Neighborhood and Community Development Standing Committee, which will be starting in probably 5 minutes. Thank you, committee. Thank you for all your work.
Ready, Commissioner?
Thank you. All right. Everyone, thank you so much for your patience. We're going to go ahead and get started. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Before I call this meeting to order, I want to announce that some committee members, staff, and the public are attending remotely via Zoom as well as on site. All participants joining by phone should mute their phones when not speaking to avoid background noise. When speaking, please speak directly into a microphone to ensure everyone that is listening is able to hear your comments and to ensure a clear record is made. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time that you speak so that the public that is observing knows who is speaking. This is critical given the number of remote participants and its current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General. The public is allowed to participate by Zoom or submit comments by email prior to the meeting, and those comments will be included in the record of this meeting. The public may also indicate their intent to provide remote public comment by contacting the clerk's office by noon the day of the meeting. The public will also have an opportunity to provide comments either by telephone or via Zoom from the 5th floor conference room of the municipal office building. If public comments are allowed on the agenda, comments should be limited to the topic at hand, 3 minutes. Disruptive comments and behavior are not permitted and may result in the removal from the meeting. My name is Andrew Davis, Commissioner Davis, District 8. I will now call the meeting of the Neighborhood and Community Development Standing Committee for Monday, September 29th, 2025 to order. Clerk, can we have the roll?
Roll call. Hill,
Here.
Ramirez,
Here.
Townsend. We have an absence memo. Bynum. Here. Davis.
Here. Thank you so much, committee. I'm going to take some privileges as chair, just given the hour and given that we don't have full membership. And we'll have the update on land bank mowing next week, just to make sure that everyone is aware. So it'll be a great conversation, but just wanted to move a little bit quicker tonight. Okay, that takes us to the land bank options, item 4.2. I will, and this is the no opposition. And so I will hand it off to Mr. Sutton for some information about what we're voting on. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. Good evening, everyone. Michael Sutton, Redevelopment Coordinator. I will be going through the land bank options that have no comments on them. Item A1, 2951 Hutchins Street, 2955 Hutchins Street. Item A2, 2111 North 27th Street. Item A3, 1949 North 16th Street. Item A6, 6200 Minnesota Avenue. Item A7, 5310 Muncie Drive and 5254 Muncie Drive. Item A8, 616 South 10th Street. Item A9, 6226 Longwood Avenue.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sutton. Okay, committee, if you just give me a quick second, I will go through the public hearing and then we'll go ahead and proceed. Clerk, were there any comments for the items that were just read?
No comments were received.
Any hands raised online?
There are no hands raised online.
For the patient folks here in the gallery, would anybody like to speak to the items that were just read? I could let the record show no one has approached. I'll go ahead and close the public comment portion. Committee, any comments or is there a motion? Yes, Commissioner Brown.
Thank you. I would move to approve the items from 4.2 land bank options that were read out loud into the record by Mr. Sutton.
Commissioner Hill, District 4. I second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioners. Clerk Kim, get the roll.
Roll call. Hill,
Aye.
Ramirez, Ramirez,
Aye.
Bynum, Davis.
Aye.
The vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Sutton?
Yes, thank you, Chair, Commissioners. Michael Sutton, Redevelopment Coordinator. We have one multifamily project. This is at 721 Troop Avenue, 717 Troop Avenue, and 721 Troop Avenue.
We can also do a C as well, Mr. Sutton.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. One commercial, and 723 Troop Avenue included on the multifamily. Thank you, Commissioner Bynum. Item C1, the one commercial project is 233 North 10th Street. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and do public comment for those two items for commercial and for multi-unit housing. Clerk, were there any comments for the two items that were just read?
No comments were received.
Any hands raised online?
There are no hands raised online.
For the folks that are here in the gallery, would anybody like to speak to any of these items for item B1 or item C1? Let the record show no one has approached. I'll go ahead and close the public comment portion. Committee, is there a motion?
Bynum, I would move to approve B1 and C1.
Is there a second? Commissioner Hill?
Just have a question for Mr.
Yes.
Sutton real quick. It looks like it's 3 items, but 721 Troop Avenue is listed twice. So is that 2 different properties or 3? It looks like maybe a typo, but I'm not sure. I just thought I'd ask.
Mr. Sutton?
Thank you for catching that, Commissioner. It should be 3 properties. My apologies. It looks like it should be 723, 721, and 717.
Okay, thank you. And I second.
Okay, and I just want to make sure, Commissioner Bynum, do you concur with your
Yes, thank
motion? And Commissioner Hill, for your second, you concur with that clarification from staff?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Clerk, can you get the roll?
Roll call. Hill,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Bynum, Davis.
Aye.
The vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
All right. Mr. Sutton?
Some clarification, Chair. Do you want me going through the property transfers or any of the non-consent agenda items?
Let's finish all of the housing related and the non-property transfers first. Actually, I take that back. 4.3 would be the property transfers, no opposition, correct? Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Let's just go in line with what we have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Michael Sutton, Redevelopment Coordinator. Item PT1 3517 North 47th Street. Item PT2 1609 North 23rd. PT3 1920 Springfield Boulevard. PT5 2713 Farrow Avenue, 3148 North 27th Street, 3150 North 27th Street. PT6 1010 Dotson Avenue. PT7 1052 Armstrong Avenue. PT8 312 South Valley Street. PT9 2048 North 7th Street. PT10 925 Haskell Avenue. PT11 2745 South Holmes Street. And PT12 1302 Seminary Street. PT 13, 1303 Seminary Street, PT 14, 1306 Seminary Street. And those final three are donations coming into the land bank. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Clerk will do a public comment. Were there any public comments for these items that were just discussed?
No comments were received.
Any hands raised online?
There are no hands raised online.
For the folks that are here in the public, would anybody like to speak to any of these items? Yes. Sure. Just need your name, city of residence. You'll have 3 minutes, sir. And make sure the mic is on. It should be green. Somebody can assist. Please.
My name is Nathan Richardson, and I'm talking about the property at 925 Haskell. And it was a property of my family's, and I would like to see if I could get, I've been taking care of it ever since 2005. And I'd like to see if I could get possession of it some kind of way. And that's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Mr. Richardson, your item is PT10. It is on the agenda. So just wanted to let you know. Okay. Yes. Your name, city of residence.
Oh, yeah. Did you call PT2? Is that part of this?
PT2, yes, for Jory.
Yeah.
Yes, that is on the agenda.
Yeah. Oh, Jory Sacken, Wyandotte County. Yes, I'll be brief. But on the property, there's an abandoned house across the street from me. It was an abandoned house when I bought it. There's 2 vacant lots behind me that there's like 6-foot tall weeds in. And they're kind of landlocked in a weird way. I've been excavating and doing a lot of landscaping on my property. It turned out it was a historic part of a zoo that used to exist in Wyandotte County in the 1880s. So back in 1880, there was a place called Chelsea Park that connected a rail line between Kansas City, Missouri and Kansas City, Kansas. And they would turn the train around right in front of my house. And there's all sorts of leftovers buried all over that neighborhood from the old zoo. So I have been excavating it. I've restored, there's 2 pools that I found that connect through a gravity-fed system that I've replumbed. I fixed up the stone wall. I found an old stone staircase that was the entrance point to the original zoo, and I'm repairing that, putting a new gate on it. And so the 2 vacant properties behind me, there's a staircase that was actually built into the hill that leads up from my property to there. And so I'm just interested in continuing this kind of restoration project into the vacant lots behind me. So my proposal is for a garden. I realize some people are like, oh, I'm going to build a raised bed, plant some stuff, and then never tend to it again. That's not what I'm doing. I'm going to make a large-scale, beautiful garden. I'm going to invest a lot of money into kind of restoring this old historic property in Wyandotte County. Oh, and also, there's this group of nuns called the Little Sisters of the Lamb, who I have become very good friends with. They're down at like 10th and Central, like 2 blocks south. They're the sweetest people you ever meet. They love flowers. They use flowers in all their ceremonies. And we met just randomly through being in Wyandotte County. And they come and get flowers from my yard. Because this is a flower garden. I don't grow food. And so they come and I help give flowers to their church.
Thank you so much. It's Mr. Sacken, did I get that right?
Yeah.
Last name. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Yes. Just in your name, city of residence, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's Eleanor Jefferson, Kansas City, Kansas. I have a question, and it may be my error. The question really is on PT3. PT3 that I have here on the agenda is the address is 1920 Springfield Boulevard. when I look at the land bank applications, they were sent out in August in preparation for today's meeting. It says PT3, the address is 1711 North 25th. So I just want to see if I'm in error or if there is a typo or something in here. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will get an answer for that question. Any other public comments for the property transfers? Okay. Oh, all right. Let the record show no one else has approached the podium. I'll go ahead and close the public comment portion. Mr. Knapp, if you can provide, or Mr. Sutton, just answer if we do have one to the question. There might have been some mix-up of the list that was sent out to the Land Bank Advisory Board, and just wanted to get some clarity on that. And then Commissioner Hill, I do see you as well, so I'll make sure we get to you next.
What was that address again? I apologize.
So it was for PT3, and the address is 1920 Springfield Boulevard that's on there. Ms. Jefferson had said there was another address, it started with 1975.
I do not have an answer right now. I do know that at times, the applications get removed for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
The applicant could have withdrawn their application. They could have worked with me to find another location. So I'll have to work to see where that specific address was at, but I can
Yes,
check back in with Ms. Jefferson.
please do. I do appreciate that. Commissioner Hill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a couple questions for our staff. The first one is PT5 with New Testament Pentecostal Church on 27th and Farrow. The two addresses at the end, 3148 North 27th and 3150 North 27th, is that going to now be a part of New Testament Pentecostal Yard Extension, or was this already a part of their property?
Yes, good evening, Commissioner. The 3148 North 27th and 3150 are going to be part of their property. To my understanding, having spoken with this applicant, they already owned 2711 North Farrow, and they came back and asked for the rest of the properties around their church.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question is PT 12, 13, and 14, which was a donation. So does that mean how does a donation look like? I mean, do they send you an application, or do they have to fill out an application to be a donor? I'm just trying to understand the process there. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner, this is Judd. We do take donations in the land bank. They're kind of rare, but it's when people don't want their property and they want to donate it to us. So we go through a little process where we send it to legal. Legal sends it, gets a title search. And then if the title search comes back with no liens on the property, we can accept it into the land bank. So the plan would be is to take those properties in and then put them back for sale for someone else to build on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions, or is there a motion? These items are for action. Yes, Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, Mr. Sacken, is that right? Thank you for what you're doing. That sounds very exciting. I'd really like to come see it, if that would be possible.
Everyone is invited. Yeah, we had a neighborhood association meeting in my yard, and I gave,
Great.
there's so much more history I could tell you, but I know
It looks
I
like
value
it's
your
right
time.
by the West Height neighborhood.
Yeah, it's down the hill from the fancy houses.
I did know there was a zoo and those pools because the Wyandotte County Historical Museum had done a presentation about that whole area. They might be really interested in seeing what you're doing and looking at the artifacts that you've uncovered, just FYI.
Okay.
I would make a motion to approve the property transfer items that Mr. Sutton read out loud into the record.
Is there
Beverly
a,
Hill,
is there a second?
Commission 4, second.
All right. Clerk Kim, get the roll.
Roll call. Hill,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Okay. Please proceed to our last item.
We did have a bit of a change on the agenda with the opposition for some land bank options. And I apologize to the commissioners and the clerk. We got this information in a few hours before this meeting. So I'm going to go through, if it's okay with you, the list of options that received negative comments and read the comments and let you take it from there, Commissioner.
Yes, but before you do that, Mr. Sutton, are we able to put those on screen?
Yes.
Awesome, just so we can follow. Thank you. And I'll also provide some clarity at the end for some of these items. But yes, proceed, Mr. Sutton.
Thank you, Commissioner. Again, Michael Sutton, Redevelopment Coordinator. The first one we have is item A4. This was located at 905 Sandusky Avenue. It also included the lot at 1015 Sandusky, 1013 Sandusky, and 1011 Sandusky. The comment I received for this was from the Land Bank Advisory Board. They stated, request for a holdover to have UG commissioners discuss the possibility that this company is reselling property at a substantial profit that it obtained via the UG's option lease procedures. While this application is not in groundwork NRG service area, it is very possible that the application type has either or could be. Therefore, groundwork believes that a discussion is warranted. Okay. Item A5. This one had opposition from Neighborhood Group. Comments state, Oak Grove has initiated action and committed its financial resources to produce its quality of life / redevelopment and land bank strategy plan. Note, the Peregrine Falcon RFP is an integrated component of these activities. Request a hold on the A5 application until this process is complete. Oak Grove commits to including applicants in these activities. Then item A10. This one was from the Land Bank Advisory Board. It states application is for 8 units, developers to present plans to the neighborhood group and other stakeholders. Groundwork NRG supports OCP's statement to pause this application pending the presentation and neighborhood opportunity to hear how it will promote quality of life benefits within the neighborhood. I'm sorry, I probably need to go back and read. Do I need to read all those addresses off, Commissioner?
Yes, please.
Okay. This one was 2814 North 21st Street, 2812 North 21st Street, 2802 North 21st Street, 2724 North 20th Street, 2726 North 20th Street, 2642 North 20th Street, 2640 North 20th Street. The next one, A11, at 946 Split Log Avenue, 926 Split Log Avenue, 853 Taromie Avenue, and 1033 Grandview Boulevard. These had the exact same comments as A4, where they stated from the Land Bank Advisory Board, request for a holdover to have UG commissioners discuss the possibility that this company is reselling property at a substantial profit that it obtained via the UG's option lease procedures. While this application is not in groundwork NRG service area, it is very possible that the application type has either been or could be. Therefore, groundwork believes that a discussion is warranted. And that concludes all of my opposition comments. I do want to note on one of them, on A10, that this is part of a larger project that actually did receive support from that neighborhood group and from Groundwork NRG. That application came through in August, but it did receive support. Thank you.
The other items, NCA 12, 13, and then the property transfer.
My apologies, it's been a little
You're good.
convoluted with this. Yes, so the other two, A12, 2643 North 21st Street and 2646 North 21st Place, and then 2639 North 21st Street. This one is on non-consent because it did not follow our normal procedures. Neighborhood groups did not have a chance to give feedback on this one as it was fast-tracked to this meeting. And then the same for A13, where it's lots 2727 North 20th, 2645 North 21st, and then 2629 North 21st. Again, non-consent because it did not go through our typical procedure. Thank you. That concludes for the option agreement.
You can do the property transfer.
Go ahead and do the property transfer, yes.
And CPT 4.
The one property transfer that we had received opposition was 1730 Haskell Avenue. The comments on this round was Groundwork NRG supports the neighborhood's decision to oppose this application. It was held from a previous meeting for the applicant not meeting with the neighborhood group. I tried to work with the applicant and the neighborhood group to get that to happen. I am not sure if that actually happened yet, though, Commissioner.
Thank you. I do want to provide some clarity, and Mr. Sen, help me out here. So the applications from Fairlane Contractors, which is NCAA 12, and
Correct.
I think it was just NCAA 12. Were these the ones that community development is working with to utilize home dollars for?
That is correct, Chair. The Fairlane Contractors Project, as well as the FMJ Properties Project, are both working with the Community Development Department using home funds.
So they're working with Director K. Sharp. So committee, just to give you all some context, the reasons why I approved kind of the fast track is because the alignment of resources, both federal and private, has made it as such that if we were to act on these particular properties now, it would make it much easier and much more likely that the homes would begin building as opposed to waiting until our next meeting, which is in November. And so I just wanted to provide that context. And then Ms. Fran Sutton's application is on there as well. And can you just put that, just again, committee, just want to provide context here.
She has two.
Two of them.
This is A13, and then A10.
813 and 810. So Ms. Fran Sutton, who we all are aware of, local developer out of the Turner area, is also working with Ms. Kay Sharp for Home Dollars, has already started with her land bank properties and is wanting to finish out that subdivision. And that's why, and she also has a timeline to secure some capital in place, which is not easy to come by, particularly for local developers. And so that's the reason why. I have been made aware that both of them have been able to make contact with the respective neighborhood groups in some capacity, particularly for Fairlane contractors. And so I just want to put that on record. Yes, Mr. Sutton, if you have anything else.
My apologies, Chair. I do have one correction on the memo itself. I noticed, and my apologies again to the clerk's office, this was kind of a convoluted week on how this happened. So the first property that's listed for Fairlane Contractors is 2645 North 21st Street. They have actually talked with Fran, and they are going to be, that's going to be her property.
Okay.
As part of her application. And I have it like that on this application. It's just not
It wasn't
reflected
on
on
the
here.
printed.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay. Last part of the agenda, so a lot to kind of work through, but I do appreciate everyone's patience here. Let's do public comment and then committee. We can discuss these items as needed. Clerk, were there any public comments for the items that were just read off?
No comments were received.
Any hands raised online?
There is a hand raised, yes.
Please give your name, city of residence, and the items that you are discussing.
You can unmute yourself.
It looks like we have OCP that's there. I just don't see any activity on the mic. Okay, in the meantime, we'll hold on that and keep the public comment open for online. For folks that are here in person, would anybody like to speak to any of these items? Okay, let the record show no one has approached. I'll go ahead and close the public comment portion for in person here at the gallery. Online, would anybody like to speak to the items that were just read? Gotcha. Clerk, do we have any folks that are trying to hand raise or anything, any activity?
No, but I'll make the announcement again for the name Organization for Community Preservation. You can unmute yourself. It looks like they are unmute, but we're not hearing them at all.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. If we'll give it another second or so, we know that somebody's trying to hop on and provide a public comment, one of the applicants. Clerk, the link to this meeting is public, correct? The Zoom link?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Where can the public find the link? I know it's on the clerk's website for the agenda.
Yes, so go to wykokck.org and you can simply look under Clerk's Department or Meetings.
Okay, I do see the hand raised by OCP. We just cannot hear you, unfortunately.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me now? I'm sorry, I was having audio problems.
Yes, we
Okay.
can hear you. Yes.
Thank you for your patience. And I was saying, OCP, we understand the time constraints with the projects coming to our area, but we believe that we should be allowed to see what's coming to our area. And we should have an input in that. I did have a conversation with Don with Fairlane Contractors, and I shared with him that OCP, along with Groundwork, would like to meet with the developers. Yes, we do support Fran Suttington's projects, but we haven't seen those either. So that's what we would like. And thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Clerk, has anyone else joined the chat?
I don't see any other hands raised.
Okay. Okay, we do have one applicant that's still trying to get on there. So I'll close the public comment for now, but if there's, if one of the applicants would like to speak about their item, please just raise your hand, but just for the sake of moving our meeting forward. Committee, are there questions just regarding any of the items that are on non-consent? Or comments? Okay. I will say there's usually some distance between when the committee decides and makes a recommendation and then when this is voted on at full commission, which is where the actual Land Bank Board of Trustees convenes. Clerk or legal, does anyone know when these items will be before the Land Bank Board of Trustees? Are we looking at the October 30th meeting? Are we looking at next week?
The Board of Trustees meeting happens before this meeting. So this one happened, it would be around like August 29th for this meeting. So if we're talking about the next meeting,
Next one, yeah.
did you bring your timeline? All right. I know the clerk submission's like the 15th of October, so it's usually the week before that. So it's like the week, probably the week before the 15th.
Can you repeat your question again, please, Commissioner?
Yeah, I was just trying to get some idea of when the items that we are voting on tonight will be heard before full commission, which would be
Oh, that's a different, okay.
the 30th of October is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
It'll be November 6th unless it's fast tracked, then it'll be October 2nd.
Okay, so November 6th is what we're
Yes,
hearing?
November 6th is a full commission
Okay.
date that this will flow into Schedule 2.
Gotcha. Okay, and I do see Ms. Fran Sutton is available, so I did a good job stalling. I'll go ahead and open the public comment for Ms. Sutton. Ms. Sutton, if you can go ahead and unmute your microphone, just need your name, city of residence, and you can talk about your application.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good evening. My name is Fran Sutton, and I live in Kansas City, Kansas. The application, the parcels that you are viewing tonight are a continuation of a project that was approved and that I have been working on for a couple of months now to work on redeveloping the portion of Clam Park that is on 20th, 21st, and 21st Place. I already have 13 lots that are planned out, and the next 8 that I had on, it's been maybe a month or so ago, they were just a natural addition to what's already planned. And then once I did a little bit more research, I realized that the additional ones that were added on just recently, they fell right into place with the originals. And part of that has to do with efficiency in construction. These are modular homes, And the biggest cost with bringing them to each location is the cost of delivery and utilizing a crane for placement. A crane can do 4 or 5 at one time. We can put 2 in the ground, 2 or 3, and then reset and do, 2 or 3 more. So it made sense to have parcels that were in consecutive addresses or within close proximity to each other to help alleviate crane costs. So when my superior goal is to create attainable workforce housing, I want to figure out ways that we can limit the number of hours that we are spent doing basic things like utilizing and paying for a crane. So that was the reason for the additions, because as I learned more about the process, I realized how important it was to have proximity for the parcels. So this is just a continuation of a project that I think I've been working on since May.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sun. And were you able to connect with any of the neighborhood groups or have any conversations on the updated portion of your project?
On the updated portion, I had reached out to OCP when I first started and provided proof of attempts to visit with them and partner, collaborate, ask opinions. On this second selection, I did not, because it was a continuation of the first selection, but I did reach out to business owner, and I have visited with some of the neighbors in the area to explain what I was doing. I want to make sure that I communicate with the people that are going to be directly affected in this community building process. And of course, I did reach out to the commissioners that are involved in this particular area.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Sutton. Stand by in case there are questions. The committee, thank you for bearing with us with the technical difficulties. Any questions about these particular items or any comments? Okay. Yes, Commissioner Bynum.
Well, I'm not sure exactly how many items remain to be voted on. But that being said, if I'm not mistaken, item A10 with 7 parcels remains to be voted on. Is that correct?
Yes, all of the NCA is the non-consent if it has NC next to it. And I'm talking about if you're looking at the software.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at.
You're looking at the actual.
I'm just looking at the agenda. And then, so A10. And then under item 4.4, A12 and A13. Now, is that everything, or I'm really only wanting to deal at this moment with these properties on North 20th and 21st. So with that being said, I will preface my motion by saying if these are voted on tonight and not moved to full commission until November 6th, that is a full 30 days plus in which Fran Sutton can meet with OCP and the neighborhood group to talk about these properties and the fact that they're an extension of a project that she has already started that does have neighborhood group support. So with that, Chair, I would move to approve item A10, which is 7 parcels, A12, which is 4 parcels, and A13, 13, which is 2 parcels.
Okay.
Hill,
And yes, Commissioner Hill.
Hill, District 4, I second.
Thank you. And I do want to just provide some clarity for the public and folks watching. The reasons why there are additional non-consent items was because there were Land Bank Advisory Board comments that came well after they came today that our staff has accommodated. However, the clerk's office didn't have time to update it. And so that is causing some of the confusion. We're trying to be mindful to all of the different parties involved, but that's the reason why there was some last minute kind of opposition that changed up the agenda that is not reflected in the written agenda. But Commissioner Bynum, just to make sure I have your motion is to approve A10, A12, and A13.
That's correct.
Okay, and Commissioner Hill had a second for that. Clerk, can we get the roll?
Roll call. Hill,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Okay, so let's start at A4. Now, again, just another reminder, these items were originally on consent taken off, but that was not reflected on the written agenda. They are still live items that we need to vote on. Are there any comments, questions? There was a question brought up by Groundworks regarding the ability to develop on land bank land and sell for a profit. Our policy does not speak to that at all. Quite frankly, it's one of the things that we would prefer our business owners and our residents have access to wealth building. But I do want to counsel if there's anything else you wanted to add regarding that current dynamic.
Wendy Green, Deputy Chief Counsel. So I was actually somewhat confused by that comment. I wasn't sure if they were saying that the applicants get the property, once the property is deeded to them before it's developed, they're selling the land for profit. So they're selling the land prior to the actual development taking place. Or if they are doing the development like they said they're going to do, and then once the property is developed, then they're selling it for a profit. Because technically either way, no, we don't have any recourse other than we would have to sue someone for breach of contract if they were to get their permits, show us they had their financing, we deed the property over to them, and then they don't actually build anything, just sell off the vacant land. Because we don't put deed restrictions into the deeds, and we just deed it to them so they can get their financing. So if we wanted to claw back the property, we would have to take them to court and sue them to get the property back, or sue them for breach of the agreement. If they did the development like they said they're going to and then sell that property, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing that they would be in breach of. If they wanted to do that and sell it for profit, that's fine too. We don't put a restriction that they can't sell the property for a profit.
Yeah, and I wonder what market is that where you are just buying priced up land and not coming to us. Yes, Commissioner Bynum, do you have something?
Well, I'm just trying to understand because I think there were 2 sets, A4 and then
A11, I believe.
11. Thank you. So I guess my question for staff is on these 2, not these items, but these 2 names, because obviously that has not happened on these items. They don't have these items yet. We haven't taken them through this process. Are you familiar with other parcels that these 2 names have secured and then obtained deed to and sold without building anything? Is that a story that is familiar to either of you?
Hi, Commissioner. This is Judd, the land bank manager. I am not aware of them selling the property before they built it. I just checked the properties in question. These properties are in Peregrine Falcon, and they are still owned by the companies that I deeded them to. And I know one is in the frame up stage right now. It's getting framed. So I am not aware of any that have been sold before they actually built the property.
I will add, sorry to interrupt, Commissioner. These builders are very active in KCK. I get quite a few applications from them, and they are what we would probably consider a qualified builder
So
in our community.
because the names are familiar
Mhm.
to me. So we've seen land bank applications come through. Now, none of the parcels in question today are in Peregrine, but apparently you said prior ones are.
Yes, Commissioner. And just for context, RA Engineering has like 25 completed options.
Okay,
And they have built several homes. They're like our number one home builder with the land bank.
okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Jefferson, if you wanted to add some clarity, I'll open the public comment period, just because I know we're talking about your item and you've been graciously waiting here. Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Eleanor Jefferson, Kansas City, Kansas. The clarity that I have on here, and I've been on the periphery of a conversation that Attorney Green and Commissioner Townsend had also been on this. There are these companies have done quite a bit of work in Wyandotte County, and particularly in Peregrine Falcon. Now, about 4 weeks ago, we were approached by some gentlemen from Louisiana who stated that they had purchased the two properties in Peregrine Falcon, along with the plans to build from this company. This is, I don't know what you call it, I don't know if it's a consortium or what, but there are 2 or 3 or 4 different names of the companies coming together. And the gentleman talked about the fact that what he had been, what he sold the properties for and everything. So that is the reason I made this comment, is because the purchaser, quite factually said this is what was going on, and that he also was in the process of buying additional properties that were in the land bank, within the land bank process on Armstrong. But then I left and was not able to pursue that. So that's the reason I'm bringing this up. And it's my understanding that the selling of the lots is prior to any kind of actual construction by the applicant, the option applicant. So that's the information I have. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. We appreciate your patience, Ms. Jefferson. All right, I will close public comment period. Committee, we do have these items that are on non-consent, just to make sure we are back to business. And staff, please correct me if my count is off. We have A4, A5, and then PT4.
They also have A11, Commissioner.
A11. So we have A4, A5, A11, and then PT4. Okay. So let's just kind of go down the line. We've done all the public comment period and everything else. Committee, any other questions regarding A4? And can we put A4 on the screen here? Or is there a motion?
Commissioner Davis?
Yeah.
Chair, I would be willing to make a motion to hold A4
Okay.
until the next committee meeting, just to identify exactly what is happening. And if I could, I would hold A11 in the same motion.
Okay. As if that is your motion to hold, I'll go ahead and second that motion to hold A4 and A11 to our next meeting. Clerk, can we get the roll?
Roll call. Hill,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
The vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Okay, that takes us to, yes,
I apologize, Chair and Commissioner. Can I just get a little bit more clarification on what you're looking for the next meeting when I go back and talk to these developers?
Yes, thank you. Just to confirm, are they purchasing and then reselling parcels? And would that be their intent with any of these, frankly? These at hand? It would be curious to know if in fact they are doing that in Peregrine or anywhere else. Because I'm still, personally, I'm still trying to understand, they can't do that unless they get the deed. So,
That is correct. They would have had to go completely through the
All
land
the
banks
way through.
process if they got a deed transferred to them, correct?
okay, but that's what I would like to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Bynum. A5 and PT4 are the two items that we still need to vote on. Is there a motion in A5 is 206 Quindaro Boulevard? Is there a motion or comment for A5? Yes, Commissioner Bynum.
Bynum, I would move to approve A5.
Davis, second. Clerk, can we get the roll?
Roll call. Hill,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Okay, the last one is PT4. There was a neighborhood opposition, just not wanting yard extensions at this time. Our policy does allow yard extensions, but just wanted to, we'll take that into consideration. Committee, any comments, or is there a motion for this item?
Bynum, I would move to approve.
Davis, second. Clerk, can we get the roll?
Roll call. Hill,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Okay, my count is we are through the agenda. Is that accurate? Okay, thank you so much. We will have a timeline by which some of these items are changed over, at the very least, so that the clerk is able to include the non-consent in written form, and it makes it a little bit easier. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Bynum, so move.
Davis, second. Clerk, can we get the roll?
Roll call. Hill,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Thank you all so much. Have a good night.